In Douluo, all the goddesses collapse. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 101, Shooting Yourself in the Foot. Wu Crossing's words startled the others, but before they could react, Xiao Wu and the other two girls had already answered in unison. Brother Wu Crossing. Do you know each other? Dame Yu Bei, Oscar, and Ma Hangjin were dumbfounded when they saw this. They clearly remembered that they had met briefly more than a month ago, and they obviously didn't know each other at that time, but now they acted very familiar with each other, which made them very puzzled. You know, after entering Lanbei Academy, they rarely saw Xiao Wu, Rong, and Zhu King leave the academy. But what's the situation now? Whether from the performance or the address, the relationship is not ordinary. As for Tang San, from the initial astonishment, his face became extremely ugly, especially Xiao Wu's sweet voice, which used to belong to him, but since more than a month ago, she has never called him the third brother. Now, she calls him so intimately to outsiders, which makes him as uncomfortable as he can be. If it were like this, it would be fine. Xiao Wu clearly knew about the grudge between him and Wu Crossing, but she still acted like this. Tang San could not keep his composure and asked angrily, Xiao Wu, what's going on? He felt that Xiao Wu had betrayed him, and his love for her. What's going on? Tang San, why are you yelling at Xiao Wu? Ning Rangrang stood up immediately after hearing Tang San's scolding. She was not like Xiao Wu. Thinking of the friendship in the past, she had long disliked the hypocritical Tang San. In the past, she did not tear her face apart because of her teammates. Now you are shameless, so just show your cards. Shut up. Tang San also tolerated Ning Rangrang to a certain extent. He was full of hostility and had no feelings for his teammates. He had some concerns before and felt that he needed to maintain his image, but now Xiao Wu is intimately calling someone else brother. If he doesn't ask clearly, he will become someone else's shape. This makes him, who is already hypocritical, care about nothing else. Tang San's scolding made Ning Rangrang stunned, and Oscar, Dame Yu Bei and others stunned, with faces full of disbelief, feeling that the other party seemed to have changed into a different person, becoming unfamiliar. Is this still the steady Tang San in their eyes? Why is he like a madman? Yu Xiao Gang was also shocked, but in his heart he was very disappointed that Xiao San was so impatient. It was ridiculous for him to lose his sense of proportion because of a woman. At this time, Tang San seemed to have lost his mind. His eyes were terribly red, and he stared at Xiao Wu like a man-eating devil. Facing the gazes of the little monster and the teacher, he turned a blind eye to them, just wanting to figure out what was going on. Looking at such a terrifying Tang San, Xiao Wu subconsciously shrank her body and wanted to hide behind Ning Rangrang. But Tang San was already filled with anger. How could he watch her avoid him? And he shouted again, Xiao Wu, tell me, what's going on? What is your relationship with this guy? Why do you call him brother? Tell me, tell me. Tang San, Xiao Wu is nothing to you. She can call whoever she wants brother. What does it have to do with you? Ning Rangrang reacted and scolded again. Seeing Ning Rangrang trying to stop him again, Tang San's eyes changed again, becoming extremely dark, and he said fiercely, Ning Rangrang, don't think that I dare not attack you, just because you are a woman. Then do it. Ning Rangrang is not someone who can be easily frightened. Unlike Xiao Wu, who would be scared by such a glare, she is a little devil who is not afraid of anything. Seeing the atmosphere suddenly become tense and a fight was about to break out, Dame Yu Bei and the others were all shocked. Oscar quickly stepped forward to smooth things over. Xiao-san, calm down, calm down. We are teammates. If there is any misunderstanding, just talk it out. Just talk it out. Yes, third brother, didn't you say that we 7 monsters are one? Don't be impulsive. Ma Hangjin also nodded. It was also the first time he saw such a scary third brother, and he was very uncomfortable. Xiao-san, Oscar, Hangjin is right. If there is any misunderstanding between us 7 monsters, just talk it out. Dame Yu Bei also persuaded. He was also confused about Tang San's performance. as long as the matter involved Xiao Wu. The other party became irritable and impulsive. Xiao-san, calm down. Seeing this, Yu Xiao Gang knew that he had to step forward and severely criticized. Rang, and you are both Shrek students. How can you say that? Although he had no good feelings for Wu Crossing, now was not the time for internal conflicts. Hearing these words from everyone, Tangsun finally regained some of his rationality. He knew that he was too anxious and might have been tricked by Wu Crossing. He controlled his anger and said word by word, Xiao Wu, I'm sorry, my voice was a little loud, but it's all because I really care about you and don't want to be deceived. Oh, how did I deceive her? Wu Crossing, who had been watching the show, saw Tangsun start to find excuses and looked at him with interest. Is it about the Douluo mansion? Did I slap you in the face or insult you? Please explain clearly. Wu Crossing's words made Tangsun's face change. How could this guy know that? He just said it before. Could it be? Suddenly, he thought of Ning Rangrang, who had just left for a while. Only in this way could he explain clearly why the other party knew what he said. So what? If it weren't for you, I would have left the Douluo mansion long ago, and how could I have been insulted? Tangsun said coldly, having already put Ning Rangrang on the death list in his heart. Seeing Xiao Bi-san's careless words, Wu Crossing laughed in his heart. The more this guy defended himself, the more Xiao Wu saw clearly what kind of person he was. He didn't need to deliberately instigate the topic. Sure enough, before he could answer, Xiao Wu said angrily, Tangsun, you disappoint me so much. You still don't repent until now, and you keep slandering brother Wu Crossing. Is this what you call sincerity? That's right, Tangsun. Don't think we don't know about the Douluo mansion. You have slandered brother Wu Crossing again and again, so I don't have to give you face. Since you want to tear your face, then tear your face and talk about it. Didn't you take the initiative to provoke brother Wu Crossing that time, look down on him, and then get slapped in the face? But in the end you turned the tables and said that brother Wu Crossing insulted you? Ning Rangrang was also full of disdain. Now that the parties were present, what else could this disgusting guy explain? Hearing the words of the two women, Tangsun's face changed again, and his mood sank. However, as the protagonist of the world in the Son of Destiny, he never felt that he was wrong. Xiao Wu, you would rather believe this guy than me. Don't flatter yourself. Xiao Wu has already seen through what kind of person you are. Ning Rangrang said coldly. This disgusting Tangsun didn't dare to confront Wu Crossing, so he wanted to play the emotional card. How could I do what he wanted? Visiting relatives on the third day of the Chinese New Year. The update may not be good. Sorry. Chapter 102 Seducing Xiao Wu. Ning Rangrang. Tangsun gnashed his teeth, wishing he could kill this woman, but he couldn't, so he had to hold back his anger and remain silent. Seeing Tangsun's frustrated look, Wu Crossing felt very happy, but it was boring to see this guy being a coward. But he wanted to see more than that, and after looking at him indifferently, Wu Crossing said to Xiao Wu, I have something to talk to you alone. Tangsun knew something was wrong when he saw Wu Crossing's look, and sure enough, his thoughts were verified next. Xiao Wu is about to participate in the individual competition, and I don't have time to chat with you. Without waiting for Xiao Wu to answer, Tangsun couldn't wait to answer for her. He didn't want Xiao Wu to be alone with this guy. Of course, he also understood that Xiao Wu was very dissatisfied with his performance now, so he didn't stop him directly, but said that he wanted to participate in the soul fighting competition. But Xiao Wu's next answer almost made him vomit blood. Okay, brother Wu Crossing. Xiao Wu nodded sweetly. Ever since she knew Tangsun's hypocritical face, she only had the thought of resurrecting her mother in her heart. Now that brother Wu Crossing wanted to talk to her alone, she naturally would not refuse. Xiao Wu, no. Tangsun's eyes turned green when he heard it, and he hurriedly stopped him. But Xiao Wu would not listen to Tangsun at all now, and followed Wu Crossing to the front, then turned a corner, and her petite figure disappeared from his sight. Looking at the disappearing Xiao Wu, Tangsun felt like he was struck by lightning, and the whole person became numb. His Xiao Wu, his most beloved Xiao Wu, actually left with another man in front of him. When Dame Bei and others saw this, they also sighed helplessly. They didn't know how to comfort Tang-san, but they knew that he did go a little too far. Not to mention Ning Rangrang's matter, his slander against the other party can be confirmed. They are not fools. After the conversation just now, they understand that Tang-san's affairs in Douluo Mansion actually have nothing to do with Wu Crossing. It's all his one-sided words. No wonder Xiao Wu would have a conflict. Brother Wu Crossing, do you have anything to say to Xiao Wu? After turning a corner and walking a few steps, Xiao Wu saw Wu Crossing stop. She paused and her eyes flashed with light. Wu Crossing touched Xiao Wu's head and said, Xiao Wu, I found a way that may help Ao's resurrection. What is it? Xiao Wu asked expectantly. Sure enough, Brother Wu Crossing wanted to talk to her alone, because it was about her mother's matter. Wu Crossing did not answer, but hesitated for a while, as if he was unable to speak, and he was hesitant to speak. Such a look immediately made Xiao Wu's heart tense, and she hurriedly said, Brother Wu Crossing, do you need Xiao Wu to do anything? Just tell me, Xiao Wu will definitely help if she can. Seeing Xiao Wu's answer, Wu Crossing slowly said, it's not a matter of being busy or not, but I noticed that there is a rule in the diary copy. It seems that the more contact you have with the diary holder, the better the reward you get. Ah. Xiao Wu was stunned, and then asked in confusion, Brother Wu Crossing, do you mean to let Xiao Wu contact you more? Yes. Wu Crossing nodded. He will be in Xiandao City for the next 3 months. This is the right time to give Tang-san a hat. He will not miss such a godsend opportunity. Of course, what he said is not wrong, and it is not just nonsense. All the better rewards are indeed related to the contact with the diary holder, whether it is the teleportation card or the resurrection technique. The teleportation card was given because of the contact with Du Guyan and Li Lingling, and then they exchanged some ideas. As for the resurrection technique, he lived in Du Guyan's house and was directly rewarded. After getting the confirmation, Xiao Wu pondered for a moment, then raised her head and said, Brother Wu Crossing, when will you return to Xiandao Royal Academy? I'm not going back to the academy so soon. In order to welcome the elite competition of advanced soul masters of the continent, our team members will be arranged to conduct practical training here for the next 3 months, so we will live in a hotel next to the soul fighting arena during this period. Seeing Xiao Wu taking the bait, Wu Crossing answered slowly. Hearing this, Xiao Wu nodded and said, then Brother Wu Crossing, Xiao Wu knows what to do. I will come here often with Rangrong, Zhutian and others. Regardless of whether the diary reward is related to this, she will agree to it for the sake of her mother's early resurrection. If it weren't for the fact that this place is close to Shrek Academy, she might have planned to let Rangrong, Zhutian and the other 2 stay in the hotel next door. Thank you, Xiao Wu. If I get the card that reduces the cooldown and resurrects, I will revive Arao for you immediately. Wu Crossing's mouth curled up slightly, and he could imagine the ugly expression of the little punk. His beloved woman, who comes to him all day, might give him a green hat at any time, and he might be so angry that he will go crazy. Just when Wu Crossing was thinking about the beautiful picture, he suddenly felt a sharp gaze coming at him. Following this feeling, he happened to see Tang-san, who was secretly watching here from a distance. Suddenly, an idea came to his mind. Brother Wu Crossing, if you want to thank someone, it should be Xiao Wu who thanks you. Xiao Wu did not notice Wu Crossing's abnormality. She was facing away and did not notice Tang-san, who followed and peeked. Xiao Wu, in addition to more contact, if the diary holder is more intimate with me, the reward may be more inclined to what the other party wants. Wu Crossing pretended not to see Tang-san peeking and began to seduce Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu was stunned when she heard it, and then her face quickly flushed. She understood what Wu Crossing meant. It was because she understood that she felt shy. Of course, she had a good impression of Wu Crossing. Unlike Tang-san, who was hypocritical and only treated herself as his private property, she always remembered her mother, whom she missed the most in her heart. Brother Wu Crossing, what do you want Xiao Wu to do? Xiao Wu mustered up her courage and said, then lowered her head. Her voice was very small, and if you didn't listen carefully, you wouldn't know what she was saying. Xiao Wu, brother is not taking advantage of you, but just wants a route to revive as soon as possible. You can try to be intimate with brother. Wu Crossing glanced at Tang San's position without leaving a trace, and then tempted him again. Kiss, be intimate. Xiao Wu shyly grabbed the edge of her little pink skirt and kept fiddling with it. She only felt that her face was very hot at the moment. Seeing Xiao Wu's tangled look, Wu Crossing did not speak again, but looked at her quietly. If he showed it too obviously, it might backfire. After a moment, Xiao Wu seemed to have decided something, took a deep breath, and then under Tang San's gaze, she tiptoed and kissed Wu Crossing's face. Chapter 103, Green Tang San. Xiao Wu, what's this? When he saw Xiao Wu standing on tiptoe, Tang San had a bad feeling, and then he saw the scene that made him vomit blood. His Xiao Wu, his favorite Xiao Wu, actually took the initiative to kiss that guy. Seeing Xiao Wu take the initiative to kiss Wu Crossing on the face, Tang San felt extremely painful, his fists clenched, and his nails directly sank into his palms. The feeling of being betrayed by the person you love, the feeling of being green, is unacceptable to any man, let alone the extremely hypocritical and double-standard protagonist Tang San. At this moment, he wanted to kill the other party immediately, but he couldn't scold him, and he didn't dare to jump out. Xiao Wu was already very disappointed in him. If he jumped out now, what would Xiao Wu think? She thought that he was involving her privacy, and that he didn't trust her. At that time, the two of them really wouldn't have a chance to ease up. But if eyes could kill, Wu Crossing would probably have died thousands of times. So patient? Are you a cuckold? Seeing that Xiao Wu had taken the initiative to kiss him, Tang San did not jump out. Wu Crossing was stunned. Could this little punk have awakened some special fetish? Thinking of this, Wu Crossing had another evil idea. He looked down at the blushing Xiao Wu and said softly, Xiao Wu, just kissing on the face is not okay. In our hometown, it is not an intimate behavior. It is just a friendly expression between good friends. Ah. Xiao Wu's pink face flushed red when she heard it. She looked very cute and shy. Although she was extremely shy, she still plucked up the courage to ask, Then what does brother Wu Crossing have to do to be considered a kiss? Intimate behavior. It has to be a kiss. Wu Crossing said evilly. He now felt guilty for deceiving the innocent little bunny, but when he thought about dealing with the double standard king, he felt relieved in an instant. If the little punk was not hypocritical, such a thing would not happen. He could only say that he deserved it. Hearing Wu Crossing's answer, Xiao Wu's whole body trembled and stood there. Kiss, kiss. Isn't that something that only lovers can do? How could she kiss brother Wu Crossing? If she really kissed him, wouldn't she become brother Wu Crossing's woman? Although she had a good impression of Wu Crossing, she couldn't answer to this extent now, so after she reacted, she hesitated. If you don't want to, forget it. Anyway, as long as you get in touch with him more, you may have a chance to get the reward for resurrecting Arrow, but the chance may be smaller. Wu Crossing saw Xiao Wu hesitated, knowing that she was struggling in her mind, and couldn't help but play hard to get. Sure enough, when Xiao Wu heard her mother, she was subconsciously startled again, and hurriedly said, Xiao Wu is willing. For the sake of her mother's early resurrection, what's the problem with just a kiss? And what's the problem with being brother Wu Crossing's woman to repay her gratitude? Don't you remember what your mother taught you before? As a human, no, as a soul beast, you should know how to repay your gratitude. Thinking of her mother's previous teachings, Xiao Wu once again tiptoed, without any hesitation, and kissed her cherry-like mouth again. But this time it was not the face that was kissed, but the mouth. Tang San, who was already in great pain, heard Wu Crossing's words, and his heart was raised to his throat again. His eyes were filled with endless anger, as if he wanted to bite someone. Although he didn't know what the reward was, and who Arao was, it was not enough for this guy to get a kiss from Xiao Wu on the face, and now he wanted her to kiss him on the mouth. How could Tang San not be crazy and furious? In an instant, he wanted to jump out, but then he thought, how could Xiao Wu agree to it? The two of them had lived together for so many years, and he knew Xiao Wu better than anyone else. If Xiao Wu was really a casual girl, how could she not let him touch her? He couldn't fall into the trap of the other party. That guy must have discovered him, and in order to stimulate himself, he wanted him to lose his temper and jump out to cause Xiao Wu's dissatisfaction. This scheme of sowing discord was really high. But who am I? The protagonist of Douluo World, the son of luck. How can I let a villain like you succeed in your scheme? I just won't jump out. I'm just playing. What can you do? You are just a jumping clown, and you dare to play tricks in front of me. You are so young. Just when Tang San was extremely sure that Xiao Wu could not kiss Wu Crossing on the mouth, he completely collapsed in the next second. He saw Xiao Wu really stood on tiptoe and kissed that guy on the mouth. Catcher. Tang San's heart was broken, completely broken. It hurt. It hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. Xiao Wu actually kissed that guy on the mouth. She actually did it. How could it be possible? How could Xiao Wu kiss him on the mouth? At this moment, Tang San's body shook like a walking corpse with a blank face. In his heart, Xiao Wu, who was pure and innocent, was no longer clean and was defiled. After being confused, Tang San's eyes turned blood red, as if blood was about to flow out, and the incomparable pain was scraping his heart fiercely. The beloved girl kissed others one after another. Such a scene would make anyone crazy and mad. Wu Crossing glanced at Tang San in the distance, and seeing his bloodshot eyes, he felt very relieved, but this was not enough. He wanted to see how much this green turtle could endure. He slowly raised a hand to Xiao Wu's back, put it on her long braid, and gently pushed it towards him. Wu Crossing, I swear I won't be a human if I don't kill you. I want you to die without a burial place. I want all your women to accompany you to your funeral. Tang San roared and yelled madly in his heart. Although he was a little far away, he had the blessing of the purple demon pupil, and his eyes could see more clearly than others. He saw everything clearly. The other party's tongue actually went into Xiao Wu's mouth. His eyes were bloodshot, and he swore he would not be a human if he didn't kill the other party's whole family. Xiao Wu didn't expect that brother Wu Crossing would put his tongue into her mouth. Her eyes widened immediately, as if she was struck by lightning. Her mind was blank, and she only responded to the other party's request instinctively. I don't know how long it took until she came to her senses. She realized what she was doing now, and subconsciously put a little force on the two hands on the other's chest. Feeling the push on his chest, Wu Crossing let go. He didn't continue. He just took advantage of the other's confusion to attack. Now that he has woken up, he can't do this again. Otherwise the good impression he has finally raised may be reduced. Xiao Wu, I'm sorry, I was a little impulsive, mainly because you are too sweet. Brother couldn't help it for a while. After letting go, Wu Crossing apologized quickly. Hearing Wu Crossing's apology, Xiao Wu wanted to find a hole to crawl into. What did she mean by her mouth was too sweet, and she couldn't help it for a while? Brother Wu Crossing is really, he kissed, but even if it's true, he can't say it directly. Don't you know how embarrassing it is to say it out? Although Xiao Wu complained like this, she didn't know why her heart seemed very sweet. Could it be that she also likes brother Wu Crossing, likes to be hugged and kissed by him? Chapter 104. Completely disappointed. Thinking of this, Xiao Wu's heart was pounding like a deer, and her earlobes turned slightly red. Is her mouth really that sweet? But brother Wu Crossing tastes good too. Is this what a kiss feels like? However, at this moment, a cold voice sounded, interrupting Xiao Wu's reverie. I'm going to kill you. Tang San roared, his killing intent soaring to the sky, and he attacked Wu Crossing without hesitation. Now he can't care so much. If he remains indifferent, he will be a cuckold. Feeling the roar from behind, Xiao Wu was startled. Turning around and seeing Tang San attacking, her face changed, and she opened her hands without hesitation to block Wu Crossing. Tang San, what are you going to do? Xiao Wu shouted. Seeing that he was blocking Wu Crossing, Tang San's face changed, and he quickly stopped his attack. His eyes were bloodshot. Xiao Wu, get out of the way. No. Xiao Wu answered heavily, with a firm attitude. At the same time, the Shrek group who had been paying attention to Tang San's direction were startled when they heard his roar, and then they rushed over without stopping. Xiao-san, what's going on? What are you going to do? Seeing Tang San's attacking posture and Xiao Wu's determination to block Wu Crossing, Yu Xiaogang's face darkened. Although he also wanted to get rid of Wu Crossing, he couldn't do it here. Now it is clear that the other party has a certain good impression of Xiao Wu, Ning Rangrong, and Zhu Zuking. Isn't it that you are letting your image fall to the bottom again by doing this? Aren't you afraid that you can't save it in front of them? Zio-san, you were not so impulsive before, but why are you so impatient now? Of course, Uzaya Gang didn't know what Tang-san saw that made him so angry that he didn't hesitate to attack on the spot. Daimyo and others were no exception. They didn't know that Zio-san was just concerned about Zio Wu and came to see her, so why did he suddenly threaten to kill Wu Crossing? He naturally couldn't say the doubts of the crowd. If the other party kissed Zio Wu, he could say it, but the problem was that Zio Wu took the initiative, which made him bury the matter in his heart. For the first time, Tang-san felt very aggrieved and uncomfortable. His internal organs were churning, but there was nothing he could do. He could only stare at Wu Crossing fiercely to show his anger. Seeing Tang-san's furious but helpless look, Wu Crossing felt very relieved. After this incident, this little jerk would probably be traumatized in the future. Seeing this, Uzaya Gang sighed helplessly and said, since there is nothing to do, let's prepare for the game. He didn't mean to drive Wu Crossing away. He had to maintain his image as a big shot and couldn't appear to be too partial to Tang-san. Hearing this, Tang-san relaxed his clenched fists and said sternly, our Shrek Academy is about to have a game. Please leave and don't disturb our training. Knowing that now was not the time to take action, he could only hold back his anger and let the other party jump around for a few days. However, Wu Crossing's next words almost broke his defense. I'm here to see Zio Wu, Wrong, and ZHU King. What does it have to do with you? If they don't welcome me, I'll leave. Wu Crossing replied calmly. You. Tang-san couldn't help but spit out blood. This guy was really shameless. Of course, what made him spit blood was not over yet. Wu Crossing looked at Zio Wu, Wrong, and ZHU King and said, I want to stay and watch your competition and training. Are you welcome? Brother Wu Crossing is willing. Zio Wu is of course welcome. Zio Wu would certainly not refuse. As for Tang-san's idea, she would not consider it. Brother Wu Crossing said that we should have more contact, which would help with the reward. If the reward is helpful, there will be a better chance to revive my mother earlier. Brother Wu Crossing, Wrong applauds. Ning Rang welcomed her with a happy face. She wished Wu Crossing was with her so that she would have more time to play some exciting games. As a little witch, after playing games several times, she found that she particularly liked this kind of excitement, which made her feel excited all over, as if she had awakened some talent. Although ZHU King didn't say anything, she nodded. She actually had something to ask Wu Crossing, but she was too embarrassed to speak because of the presence of everyone. Seeing the three women agree, Daimyo and the others were helpless and just hoped that Tang-san would not make any more mistakes. Of course, they were still very curious about how this guy knew Zio Wu, Wrong, and Zuking. Seeing that everyone agreed, Tang-san's forehead darkened. Daimyo, Oscar is so stupid. Don't you know that there is no sense of crisis when there is an outsider? Especially Ning Rang. Oscar, didn't you notice that her attitude towards this guy is a bit too good? Isn't she afraid that the girl he likes will become the other person's shape? Oscar is of course afraid, but he is more afraid of making Rang angry, so he can only pretend not to see it. After clenching his fists hard and repeatedly, Tang-san turned his eyes away and looked at Uzaya Gang with a seeking look. Uzaya Gang saw the look in Tang-san's eyes and he naturally understood, but he couldn't do so he had to ignore him. Seeing the teacher ignoring him, Tang-san's mouth twitched a few times and he began to feel dissatisfied with Uzaya Gang. In his opinion, the teacher only needed to say a word to make the other party go away, but now he didn't. Could it be that the teacher valued the other party's talent, so he abandoned him? Thinking of this, Tang-san's face became even gloomier. He didn't expect that at the critical moment, one was more unreliable than the other, and he didn't care about it. The 7 monsters were one, which now seemed like a joke. While Tang-san was extremely frustrated, Wu Crossing successfully mixed into the team. And then, there were not many surprises. Several messages came from the radio. Silver Soul ZHU King, please go to the 3rd Division Seoul Arena. Silver Soul ZHU King, please go to the 3rd Division Seoul Arena. Silver Soul Daimyo, please go to the 2nd Division Seoul Arena. Silver Soul Damu Bei, please go to the 2nd Division Soul Arena. Gold Soul Tang San, please go to the 1st Division Soul Arena. Gold Soul Tang San, please go to the 1st Division Soul Arena. As the announcement came out, the entire team began to go to their respective divisions, and Wood Crossing followed Xiao Wu and Ning Rangrang to ZHU Zuking's division to watch. Brother Wood Crossing, I'm sorry for what happened just now. It's all my fault. Xiao Wu lowered her head and apologized to Wood Crossing. If it weren't for her, this wouldn't have happened. If it weren't for her, Tang San wouldn't have fought with Brother Wood Crossing. She was kind-hearted and took everything on herself. Xiao Wu, this has nothing to do with you. Don't blame yourself. It's that guy who has impure thoughts. Wood Crossing touched her head and comforted her. Hearing this, Ning Rangrang nodded repeatedly and said, that's right, Xiao Wu, this has nothing to do with you. It's because Tang San is too hypocritical. He disguised himself very well in the past and deceived you. You must not have any feelings for him anymore. He only thinks about himself. He's a selfish guy. You just saw it. He wanted to attack me just after I said something. We used to be members of the same team. He dared to treat me like this. You can imagine how vicious his mind is. He is not worth your nostalgia. Yeah. Faced with Wood Crossing's touch and Ning Rangrang's help, Xiao Wu is now completely disappointed. Even if the other party says good things in the future, she will not believe a word he says. Chapter 105, Breakthrough. Watching Ning Rangrang brainwashing Xiao Wu, Wood Crossing calmly gave her a thumbs up. This little witch is not only very good, but also a good at sowing discord. She really knows me too well, and she must be rewarded. With Wood Crossing's encouragement, Ning Rangrang became even more excited. She began to constantly complain about Tang San's various shortcomings in front of Xiao Wu, and then compared him with Wood Crossing as an example, saying that he was good in many ways. She almost said directly to Xiao Wu, Brother Wood Crossing is your best destination. In short, in the end, Wood Crossing himself was a little embarrassed by Ning Rangrang's praise. Silver Fighting Soul Xiao Wu, please go to the 5th Division Fighting Soul Arena. Silver Fighting Soul Xiao Wu, please go to the 5th Division Fighting Soul Arena. Silver Fighting Soul Xiao Wu, please go to the 5th Division Fighting Soul Arena. Silver Fighting Soul Xiao Wu, please go to the 5th Division Fighting Soul Arena. Xiao Wu's face was also flushed by Ning Rangrang's words. She was no longer grateful to Wood Crossing as before. In the kiss just now, she subconsciously regarded herself as the other party's woman. After all, in her opinion, that kind of thing can only happen between lovers. It's just that she was worried that Ning Rangrang would find out, so she looked very unnatural, but she didn't know that she had already fallen into Wood Crossing's clutches. Xiao Wu didn't know how to face it and wanted to flee the scene. Just then she heard the information on the broadcast, and she breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly said, Rangrang, you and Brother Wood Crossing wait here for Sister ZHU King to come back. I'm going to the 5th Division Fighting Spirit Field first. After saying that, without waiting for Ning Rangrang to speak, she hurriedly ran towards the direction of the 5th Division. Looking at Xiao Wu who was fleeing, Ning Rangrang was a little confused, and then she thought of the scene where Tang San roared to kill Wood Crossing before, and her eyes were playful. Big bad guy, did you attack Xiao Wu just now? What are you thinking? How is it possible? Although he was surprised by Ning Rangrang's sense of smell, Wood Crossing would not easily admit it. Ning Rangrang looked at Wood Crossing suspiciously, with an expression of I don't believe it and snorted, if you didn't attack Xiao Wu just now, why did she run away? And why did Tang San threaten to kill you? You even doubt my words? You deserve to be punished. Wood Crossing didn't explain, but slapped Ning Rangrang's buttocks hard. The more you explain, the darker it will be. In an instant, Ning Rangrang felt as if she had been electrocuted, and then she naturally fell into the other's arms. What are you doing? Seeing Ning Rangrang's whole body pressed against him, Wood Crossing was a little stunned. But the next second, he saw her face full of peach blossoms, and his heart was moved, and his previous thoughts were aroused again. While the two were playing exciting tricks, ZHU Zhuking had defeated her opponent, and walked back from the ring. When she came to the preparation area and entered, she was stunned when she saw the two people's behavior. What did she see? She actually saw Rangrang kissing Wu Crossing, and the other's big hand was kneading Rangrang's little panda. As if she sensed something was wrong, Ning Rangrang opened her eyes in a trance and saw ZHU Zuking standing at the door. Seeing ZHU Zuking, she was sobered up with a start and quickly pushed Wu Crossing away and quickly straightened her skirt. Wu Crossing, who was pushed away by Ning Rangrang, was stunned at first, and then he also noticed ZHU Zuking standing outside, and his face flashed with embarrassment. He was careless and didn't dodge. He was too focused, so the two people's affair was actually caught by the curtain. Ahem, that Zuking, you finished the soul fighting game. Wu Crossing hurriedly laughed, trying to ease the current embarrassment. After straightening the messy skirt, Ning Rangrang blushed and said, Zuking, you are back. Fortunately, ZHU Zuking's personality is relatively cold, and she doesn't talk much. She just nodded and responded, and didn't ask about what happened just now. Seeing this, Wu Crossing and Ning Rangrang breathed a sigh of relief at the same time, and then hurriedly said, Xiao Wu has come to the 5th Division Fighting Spirit Arena to participate in the individual competition. Let's go and take a look. Along the way, several people were very silent, and no one spoke, until they arrived at the preparation area of the 5th Division Fighting Spirit Arena. At this time, Xiao Wu was fighting with a Soul Master in the arena. This Soul Master was not Xiao Wu's opponent. After a few rounds, she was hooked by her long whip and thrown out of the ring. Seeing Xiao Wu happily walk down the ring, Wu Crossing walked out first to avoid the previous embarrassment. But then, he was dumbfounded again. After Xiao Wu came out, she saw that only Wu Crossing was there, thinking that he came to watch her game on purpose, and happily threw himself into his arms and kissed him. ZHU Zuking, who came out, looked at this scene, and stood there again. Xiao Wu, Rangrang, and Wu Crossing kissed. When did it happen? Why didn't I know? At this moment, ZHU Zuking felt like an outsider, knowing nothing, and even a little lost. It seemed that she was destined to be out of tune with everyone. She was the one who spoke the least in the team. Now facing the owner of the diary, she was different from Xiao Wu and Rangrang. Therefore, her heart was in a mess. The kind of mess. Could it be that she was really not suitable for living in a group? The family could not tolerate her, and she seemed out of tune in the team. Now even the relationship with the owner of the diary was limited to nodding acquaintances. Xiao Wu. Wu Crossing pushed Xiao Wu away and coughed, asking her to pay attention to her image. Xiao Wu immediately reacted to Wu Crossing's cough, and saw Rangrang and ZHU King walking out of the preparation area. In an instant, her face turned red like an apple, and blood was dripping. It was really too embarrassing. How could she be so impulsive? Why did she think of throwing herself into Wu Crossing's arms and kissing him? Now, she chose to flee the scene just now. Now she confessed without asking. Rangrang might laugh at her. Ning Rangrang was also stunned when she saw Xiao Wu's behavior, and then she came back to her senses and looked at Wu Crossing meaningfully. Is this what you said about not doing it? Xiao Wu would hug you if she didn't do it. Xiao Wu would kiss you if she didn't do it. You big bad guy, pervert, and liar. I really didn't believe you just now. You big pervert is very bad. Seeing Ning Rangrang's resentful eyes, Wu Crossing was ashamed. He really didn't expect Xiao Wu to be so bold. If he had known, he would have admitted it just now. It's not what you think just now. I did it for. Xiao Wu wanted to explain, but found that she didn't know how to start. Brother Wu Crossing, ZHU King has something to ask you alone. Just when Xiao Wu was anxious, ZHU Zhu King had already rescued her. ZHU Zhu King has something to ask him alone. Wu Crossing was a little confused, but he still nodded and said, okay. Xiao Wu and Ning Rangrang also felt strange when they heard ZHU Zhu King's words. ZHU King's personality was usually cold and taciturn, and he rarely asked anything on his own initiative. But now they had something to ask Brother Wu Crossing alone, so of course they were very surprised. Chapter 106 Enlightening ZHU Zhu King. Sister Zhu King, if you have anything to ask, just say it directly. I will tell you what I know. Wu Crossing walked with ZHU Zhu King to a quiet area. Seeing that she kept fiddling with the corners of her black leather jacket, she was obviously very nervous. Wood Crossing took the initiative to speak for her. Hearing Wood Crossing's words, Zhu Yuking stopped moving, raised her clear face, and looked at him, pursed her lips, and then said, "Brother Wood Crossing, you know my Zhu family in Xingluo Empire very well. Zhu Yuking wants to ask how to break this fate." Wood Crossing smiled slightly when he heard it. Sure enough, with her cold personality, she came to talk to him alone, which was related to her family. This did not surprise him. In the original book, she was very disgusted with the family rules. In order not to see the Zhu family's indifference and ruthlessness, and not to kill each other, she chose to run away from home, and even came to the Xiandao Empire from afar. Of course, she ran away from home differently from Ningrangrang. That little witch was just for fun and excitement. Zuking, I said in the diary copy before that, if you want to break the fate of the family, the easiest way is to improve your own strength. When you reach a certain level, the rules of the entire family will also change, because of your words. If the title Douluo doesn't work, then become the peak Douluo. If the peak Douluo can't change it, then become a god. Wood Crossing looked at Zhu Yuking, and told her his point of view seriously. In the Douluo Continent, the strong are respected. Even if it is a huge family, as long as the strength is strong enough, it is not a matter of a word. In the original work, the other party can become a god, and now that she has a diary copy, she believes that the future achievements will only be higher. But Zhu Yuking doesn't think so. Now she doesn't have much confidence in herself. Although Wood Crossing said in the diary that she would become a title Douluo, that was in the original work. Now it has changed, and no one knows what she will be like in the future. Brother Wood Crossing, can you help Zuking? Zhu Yuking's beautiful eyes were full of expectations. This was the first time she took the initiative to ask for help, and she didn't say anything nice. According to her personality, she would not ask for help easily, but Wood Crossing was the owner of the diary, which gave her hope, and brought her great opportunities. In addition, he made her feel very close, so she made up her mind. Of course. Wood Crossing smiled and nodded, but after a moment, he said, "But I think you can try it yourself first, and if possible, unite with Zhu Yun to change the Zhu family's clan rules together." Although Wood Crossing didn't mind helping the other party, it was not a good thing for her future growth. "Sister?" Zhu Yuking was slightly startled when she heard Wood Crossing's words, and then a hint of gloom flashed across her clear face. She shook her head and said, "Brother Wood Crossing, you know that my sister has been chasing me all the way from the Xingluo Empire. She wants to get rid of me. How could she join me in resisting the Zhu family? You don't understand this." Looking at Zhu Yuking's gloomy expression, Wood Crossing slowly explained, "As for the affairs of the Zhu family, the original anime did not describe much. Didn't I say in my last diary that your sister might not be able to resist the fate of the family and was forced to accept such an arrangement?" "Brother Wood Crossing, what do you mean?" Hearing Wood Crossing's answer, Zhu Yuking's originally dormant family affection suddenly jumped. Seeing the anxious Zhu Yuking, Wood Crossing expressed his guess. "Have you ever thought about it? Although your sister has indeed been chasing you all the way from the capital of the Xingluo Empire, it seems that you have escaped after several life and death struggles. But don't you think it's a bit strange? With her stronger strength than you, and a group of assassins arranged by the family, how could you, a person who is not even a soul master, escape safely in the end? If you were really killed, I'm afraid you would never be able to escape from the Xingluo Empire." Wood Crossing's words were like a bolt from the blue, hitting Zhu Yuking's mind, making her originally cold heart feel a little warm. Yes, with her soul power of more than 20 levels at the time, how could she successfully escape with her elder sister and a group of assassins from the family? So, I suspect that there may be some hidden secrets. Maybe she couldn't resist the family's order, so she brought assassins to hunt you down, pretending to do so that she could explain to the family. In fact, she deliberately let you go. Only in this way can she explain it clearly. Otherwise, the distance between the capital of the Xingluo Empire and the Xiandao Empire is so far. Even if you are lucky enough to escape the hunt once, you can't escape the hunt twice or 3 times, right? Wood Crossing's words stunned Zhu Yuking again. She carefully recalled everything at the beginning. She did experience life and death several times, but at each critical moment, she could be killed immediately with just a move of her hands. But her elder sister didn't do that, but just sneered. Thinking of this, Zhuting felt that things were becoming more and more suspicious, and more like what Brother Wu Crossing said. In an instant, she seemed to understand, and looked at Wu Crossing gratefully. Brother Wu Crossing, thank you for telling Zhuting so much. This is just my guess. Wu Crossing subconsciously touched Zhuting's hair. Zhuting, who felt Wu Crossing's big hand caressing her hair, blushed a little. It was the first time she was touched so intimately by a man, which made her heart ripple. If it weren't for your reminder, Wu Crossing, Zhuting might still be in the dark. Zhuting's cold face rarely showed a smile. The elder sister who loved her before has not changed, but she can't resist her fate, so she has no choice. Though sarcasm is not true, I'm afraid it's to make her more determined to escape from the man-eating family. Looking at Zhuting's smile, Wu Crossing was slightly stunned. It is not easy to make this cold little cat smile. Even in anime, it has not been seen many times. Then what is the reward? Wu Crossing said something. Wu Crossing's words made Zhuting stunned, but she quickly came back to her senses. Her face became redder, and then she pursed her lips, and then kissed her in the stunned eyes. It was loose at the touch. Before Wu Crossing could react, Zhuting had already fled the scene shyly, leaving only a word of thanks. Feeling the coldness coming from his lips, Wu Crossing reached out and touched them, then burst into laughter. He didn't expect Zhuting to kiss him. Apparently, she had seen him kissing Ning Rangrang and Xiao Wu one after another, and mistakenly thought that he was asking for a kiss from them. But in all conscience, what he said just now was not really to take advantage of him. But it was okay to be misunderstood by this little kitty, because the 3 Shrek beauties were the ones he wanted to capture. Chapter 107 Special Rewards. After watching the competition between Xiao Wu, Ning Rangrang, and Zhuting, Wu Crossing returned to the hotel. Today's progress was beyond his expectations, so he had a smug smile on his face, which aroused the curiosity of Suruoxi and the other 2 girls. Wu Crossing did not say much, but opened the diary panel and recorded what happened today. Today, I finally participated in the soul fighting competition. Overall, it was not bad. But the opponent was a little weak, which made me a little disappointed. Maybe it's because I'm a newcomer to the soul fighting arena. It's my first time to participate, and my opponents are all lion soul fighting. As soon as he opened his mouth, Wu Crossing's old versatile aura came to his face, causing many diary holders to roll their eyes. In addition to this, I also met a few acquaintances in the soul fighting arena, the group of protagonists from Shrek Academy. They also came to participate in the soul fighting competition today, but I didn't expect that little jerk to slander me in private. You should still remember that I visited Yans's house more than a month ago. That guy was slapped in the face by me, so he has been holding a grudge. And when he heard about my performance in the fighting arena, he turned the tables in front of Xiao, Rangrang, Zhuting and other pen pals. If I hadn't recorded the video, I'm afraid I couldn't wash it off. Even if I jumped into the Yellow River, there is really no one like this protagonist. Watching Wu Crossing's narration, many diary holders shook their heads again and again. They also watched the video and naturally knew what happened. Because of this, they were very moved. How could that world choose such a person as the protagonist? Faced with this guy's slander, I didn't even need to stand up to confront him. The little witch Rangrang helped me to fight back. Guess what happened? That guy even held a grudge against Rangrang and wanted to attack her. Can you believe this? You know, Rangrang is that guy's teammate, and he can ignore it. As long as it doesn't involve his own affairs, he will generously say that the 7 monsters are one. But if it violates his interests, let alone the friendship between teammates, even family affection is something he can throw away at will. For this extremely hypocritical and double-standard son of destiny, I don't know how to evaluate it now. The diary holders who saw this were also shocked by the protagonist of the Douluo world. He didn't care about his teammates who had been through life and death and the relationship of many years. He was really selfish to the extreme. Fortunately, there were many people watching, so the little bastard didn't dare to really do it, but Rangrang was hated by him. After Angrang revealed his true face, this guy started to play the emotional card again, saying that they would rather believe me than him. I want to laugh when I hear this. If you are not hypocritical and double standard, why are you afraid of others slandering you? And why are you afraid of others sowing discord? If you have a guilty conscience and you are sanctimonious, you will feel that others are targeting you. Here, I would like to thank Rangrang, the little witch, for proving my innocence. Seeing this, Ning Rangrang's face was already full of smiles, and her heart was filled with honey. I didn't expect that this bad guy would keep praising me in his diary today, and her vanity was instantly satisfied. On the other hand, Dugu Yan saw Wu Crossing praising the other person by calling him Rangrang and the intimate little witch, and her mouth curled up slightly, and she was very jealous. This big bad guy is so hateful that he actually praised other women in his diary. Okay, let's not talk about the little scoundrel, it's a bit unlucky. Let's talk about the ZHU family. You also know what kind of existence the ZHU family is in Douluo Continent, and how ruthless the competition is in the Xingluo Empire. So today, by chance, Zhuking pen pal found me and asked me to help her get rid of the fate of her family. Of course, I'm obliged to help pen pals. But considering her growth, I think it's better for her to break it herself. I gave her a suggestion. ZHU Zhuan, are you reading this? If you are, you can contact your sister. With the copy of the diary, your future achievements will be immeasurable. When your strength reaches a certain level, the rules of the clan are actually empty words. It is not difficult to overthrow them together. My suggestion is that I hope you can cooperate to avoid the fate of being kept in captivity by the family. You don't have to worry. I can see that Zhuking actually still has feelings for your sister. You should be the same. Otherwise Zhuking would not have escaped the fate of being killed. Since both of you are indifferent to the family and hate the family's ruthlessness, why not unite together? Xingluo Empire, Royal Academy. ZHU Zhuan held the copy of the diary and saw this, and her pupils flashed. Zhuking didn't hate herself. Zhuking still had feelings for her sister. She didn't doubt the words of the owner of the diary. Since the other party could say it in the diary, it was obvious that Zhuking also had such intentions. Thinking of this, her eyes became more determined. Zhuking, you wait for your sister. If you are willing to believe in your sister, then your sister will not let you down. This is not only the belief given to her by her sister, but also the courage to resist given by the opportunity of the diary copy, and it is also because of the resume of the ruthless emperor that gave her a huge shock. Compared with the fate of her own family, the ruthless emperor came more difficult, and she was able to change her fate with her mortal body. So why can't she break the rules of the family? Nowadays, many holders of the diary copy regard the ruthless emperor as the woman they admire most. Shrek Academy. ZHU Zhuking returned to the dormitory and saw that Brother Wu Crossing talked about her today's events in particular, and even helped her contact her sister. She was very grateful in her heart. Brother Wu Crossing not only let her know that her sister was forced to help, but also eased her relationship with her sister. Now he is personally promoting her wish. She will remember this kindness in her heart. That's all for today. It seems a bit short, but there is no way. See you tomorrow. Wu Crossing simply finished writing and closed the diary panel. System, receive the reward. Wu Crossing casually communicated with the system. Ding, it is detected that the host has updated a diary and a green hat is rewarded. Fuck you. System, what the hell do you mean? Wu Crossing heard the voice of the system and subconsciously burst out with swear words. This crooked system actually rewarded him with a green hat. How can it be tolerated? This is not the way to insult people. It was only when he saw the properties of the green hat clearly that he realized that he had accidentally injured his friendly forces. Green hat, exclusive to the protagonist of Douluo World. As long as the protagonist wears it, he can block the world's blessing from the other party, thereby ignoring his luck value and becoming a member of the altar. Chapter 108 Design. Hubby, what's wrong? Seeing Wu Crossing curse, after finishing his diary, Suruoxi and the other girls were all in a rage. In the past, no matter what reward they received, even the most useless reward, they would not be so angry. Now, not only was he furious, but he even cursed the system, which made them extremely nervous. Wood Crossing looked at the concerned eyes of the girls and came to his senses. His actions just now scared them. He smiled and shook his head and said, "Nothing. It was a misunderstanding." Misunderstanding? Suruoxi, Dugu Yan and Li Lingling were stunned, and countless question marks flashed through their minds. Yes. Wood Crossing smiled, and then simply took out the reward. Immediately, a hat that flashed green and made people panic appeared in front of him. What is this? Looking at the hat emitting endless green light, Suruoxi and the other girls were very surprised. They didn't know the meaning of the green hat in this world, but they just felt that the hat was very bright, which made them a little unable to open their eyes. Then they checked the information of the hat, and as it was displayed, they were all delighted. "Honey, is this hat for Tang-san?" "Yeah." Wood Crossing nodded, looking at the hat floating in front of him. A smile appeared on his face. He didn't expect this system to be so naughty. He decided to give Tang-san a hat, but the system was even more extreme and asked him to wear such a hat. Just thinking about it made him feel satisfied. The system was good or bad, he liked it so much. But how can I make him wear it? Dugu Yan asked doubtfully. She knew that Tang-san didn't deal with her man, so how could he accept such a hat, let alone wear it? And she always had a feeling that this green hat was creepy, and the color seemed to have some other meaning. "I have a way for this." Wood Crossing thought of a great plan. "What is the way?" The three women who heard it were curious. "You will know this evening." Wood Crossing smiled mysteriously. After hearing this, the women didn't mean to ask any more questions. They believed that, if their men said so, they would definitely do it. Time soon came to the evening. At this time, in Shrek Academy, Xiao Wu, Ning Rangrong, and Zhu Zuking walked out of the room and headed for the main entrance of the academy. After knowing Wood Crossing's method, Xiao Wu did not hide her intentions from the two girls, and directly told them what happened today. The two girls naturally did not object after hearing it, and Ning Rangrong was even more eager. "Xiao Wu, where are you going?" However, as soon as they went out, they met Tang-san and others. From their appearance, it was obvious that they wanted to go out of the academy. "What does it have to do with you where to go?" Ning Rangrong said unhappily. Now she and Tang-san are at loggerheads, and they are not polite at all. When Tang-san heard Ning Rangrong's answer, his anger surged in his heart, but in order to save his image, he could only suppress it. "Rangrong, are you going out to play? Let's go together." Seeing that the atmosphere was not right, Oscar couldn't help but stand up and say, "We girls are shopping, why are you joining in the fun?" Ning Rangrong naturally would not agree, because they were going to see Brother Wood Crossing. After hearing Ning Rangrong's answer, Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking also nodded. Oscar wanted to say something when he saw it, but he saw Rangrong, who he had been thinking about, pulling Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking away. Seeing Ning Rangrong pulling Xiao Wu away directly, Tang-san's hands creaked, and he must find an opportunity to kill her. Although he wanted to follow, he was worried that Xiao Wu would be angry, so he had to give up in the end. Shrek Academy is very close to the Xiandao Great Fighting Arena, and it only takes 10 minutes to walk. The three girls left the school and quickly came to the nearby Xiandao Hotel to find Wood Crossing. "Husband, is this the solution you said?" Looking at the three Shrek beauties who came outside the door, Dugu Yan showed a dissatisfied look. "Okay, why are you jealous? I called them here for something serious." Seeing Dugu Yan's pouting mouth, Wood Crossing slapped her hips unhappily. Dugu Yan's face flushed instantly when Wood Crossing slapped her sensitive part. If it was just Ruoxi and Lingling, she might not be so shy, but now in front of other women, she blushed. "Humph. This big bad guy bullied me again." Seeing the two people's intimate behavior, Xiao, Ning Rangrong, and Zhu Zuking didn't have time to blush, but they didn't know why they felt a little uncomfortable in their hearts. "Xiao, Rangrong, Zuking, sit down," Wood Crossing said, and asked the three women to sit down. Seeing the three women sit down, Suruoxi understood and poured a cup of tea for each of them. It must be said that she was much smarter than the jealous Dugu Yan and knew how to make herself look generous. "Brother Wood Crossing, thank you today." After sitting down, Zhu Zuking, who used to talk the least, spoke first in an unusual way. Wu Crossing smiled and shook his head and said, "It doesn't matter, I just said it in passing. Anyway, it's for completing the diary task." Of course he understood what Zhuking meant. It was nothing more than thanking his diary copy for saying good things for the other party in the afternoon. "By the way, Ruoxi said that you got the golden legend today." After saying that, Wu Crossing seemed to think of something and then asked curiously, "Yeah?" Zhuking nodded and then took out a card flashing with golden light from her diary warehouse. "Realm card. After using, you can upgrade yourself by 1 level. Brother Wu Crossing, this card is for you." Although Zhuking looks cold, she is a person who knows how to repay kindness. And after Xiao Wu's explanation, she probably understands that the reason why she was able to get the golden card may be that Brother Wu Crossing talked about her in detail, which increased the chance of getting the golden legend. "You keep it. My innate soul power is level 30, and it is not very easy to improve it." Wu Crossing rejected Zhuking's kindness. Before he got the teleportation card and the resurrection technique, he might have been more obsessed with improving his strength, but with these two things, it was not so important to him. In addition, he raised his soul power to level 8 in 2 months, so he didn't care even more. After all, he finally traveled through time once. If he doesn't enjoy it, how can he become a slave of hard training? Besides, aren't you going to overthrow the fate of your family? Strength is particularly important, and I can't have it. Worried that Zhuking was a little stubborn, Wu Crossing added another sentence. Upon hearing this, Zhuking had to take back the realm card. She understood what Wu Crossing meant. Indeed, this realm was of great help to her. It could speed up her escape from the fate of her family. If she used it after her soul power reached level 80, she could be promoted directly from Soul Douluo to title Douluo. Seeing Zhuking take the realm card back, Wu Crossing breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at Xiao Wu and said, "By the way, Xiao Wu, brother needs your help with something." After that, Wu Crossing took out the hat that was emitting endless green light. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 109, The Witch's Nature. This is. As soon as the hat appeared, Xiao Wu and the other 2 girls subconsciously covered it with their hands. There was no other way. The green light on the hat was too dazzling. They could hardly open their eyes. "Do you remember what I said last time? The protagonist of each world has a luck value, and Tangsen is no exception. In addition to the most basic people around the protagonist, who will offer sacrifices to the heaven, he has a more terrifying ability, which is to make hostile women of the same age unconsciously become love-brained. If you want to break this spell, you must have something targeted, otherwise it will be difficult to remove it. I'm a time traveler, so I don't have to worry. It's mainly for your consideration, and this hat can just restrain his protagonist halo. Tangsen cares about you the most, to the point of being pathological, so only you can deliver this hat to him, and then you put it on him personally. It shouldn't be very difficult." Wu Crossing first moved Xiao Wu with emotion, and then guided her slowly with reason. After listening, Xiao Wu hesitated a little. She already knew the function of this hat through information. Although she was completely disappointed with Tangsan, it was really difficult for her to deal with him. Looking at the hesitant Xiao Wu, Wu Crossing knew that she was still unable to calm down in her heart, so he could only retreat. "If you feel that you can't do it, then forget it. I will find a way later." "Brother Wu Crossing, I'm sorry." Xiao Wu was very sorry. She really couldn't do it. She could ignore Tangsan, but she couldn't hurt him. "Xiao Wu, why do you still have feelings for Tangsan? This is just putting a hat on him. It doesn't really hurt him. It just breaks his aura, reduces his luck value, and loses his protection. He won't die if he wears it." Seeing Xiao Wu's refusal, Ning Rangrang on the side couldn't help but speak out. Facing Ning Rangrang's words, Xiao Wu still shook her head. Seeing this, Ning Rangrang felt helpless and angry. She said again, "Xiao Wu, you can look at the problem from another angle. If he doesn't wear this hat, it will hurt others. You are doing good things. It may not matter if you are in love, but you don't want to see me and Zhuking being affected by him, right? Ning Rangrang's words made Wood Crossing beside her open his mouth. This little witch is too good. With such eloquence and ventriloquism, it's no wonder that he surrendered in 20 minutes. It's really awesome. Who wouldn't be confused? He decided to find an excuse later and learn from her. As if sensing Wood Crossing's thoughts, Ning Rangrang said again, Xiao Wu, do you think what I said is true? Even if you don't care about me and Zhuking, you should also think about the girlfriends around Wood Crossing. Tangsun and them are already fighting to the death. Do you want Wood Crossing to be sad for this? Xiao Wu heard the words and her original heart began to waver. Thinking that if he didn't do this, he would fall in love with Tangsan, Rangrang and Zhuking would not be able to escape, and Brother Wuxing might be hurt. His eyes became firm unconsciously. Brother Wuxing, leave it to Xiao. Xiao took a deep breath and said heavily, that's great, Xiao. I will thank you on behalf of Rangrang, Zhuking, and Ruoxi. Wuxing was overjoyed, and it was the little witch who came out and said such a wonderful thing that made the other party agree. Brother Wuxing, no need, I'm doing this for myself. Xiao replied with a blushing face. In fact, she didn't want to turn herself into a love-brained person. Because of the kiss, she had already assumed in her heart that Brother Wuxing was her man. Okay. Wuxing, in a good mood, immediately handed the hat emitting a dazzling light to Xiao. He could imagine how wonderful Tang San's face would be when he saw this hat next. There is no such word in Douluo Continent, but it does exist in the martial arts world where the other party lived in his previous life. The woman he loved most not only cheated on him, but also put the hat on him personally. The sense of ceremony was fully realized. Suppressing the joy in his heart, Wood Crossing pretended to cough, and then chatted with Xiao Wu and the other two girls about all sorts of things. When he saw that the time was almost right, he slowly said, Rangrang, I have something to talk to you about. Come with me. After that, Wood Crossing stood up and walked towards the next room first. If Tangsun was really put on that hat by Xiao Wu, this little witch would be the first to bear the credit, so he would naturally have to reward her well. Ning Rangrang was stunned at first, then a hint of joy flashed across her face, and she quickly stood up and followed. Watching Ning Rangrang leave with Wood Crossing, Du Guyan in the distance frowned a little, and her sixth sense told her that there was something fishy going on between the two. Sister Ruoxi, you accompany them, I'll go out for a while. He greeted Su Ruoxi calmly, and then walked out of the room. At the same time, Wood Crossing took Ning Rangrang to the next room. As soon as he closed the door, he couldn't help but kiss her, and his big hand even went through her skirt. They kissed passionately for a long time, and he didn't let Ning Rangrang go until she was out of breath. Rangrang, I really love you too much, Wood Crossing said, and then kissed her hard on the face again, expressing his love. When I watched Anin before, I didn't think there was anything, but after really getting in touch with this little witch, I discovered her beauty. Ning Rangrang's face was full of blushes. To be praised by this bad guy, her heart was sweeter than drinking honey. Is there a reward? Ning Rangrang asked. Yes, I'll treat you to food. Wood Crossing showed a hint of evil smile, and then sat on the edge of the bed. Bah, who asked you to treat me? Ning Rangrang was stunned when she heard the words, and then saw the other party's evil smile. Despite this, her body still walked towards Wood Crossing, her face full of peach blossoms, and she gave him a charming look. She also liked this kind of stimulation, which awakened her witch nature. Rangrang, you should wear white stockings in the future. Wood Crossing took a breath, and noticed her white knees and suggested. Ning Rangrang is not wearing the long skirt she will wear 5 years later, nor is she wearing the white patterned stockings. If she kneels for a long time and hurts her pretty knees, she will be guilty. Yeah. Ning Rangrang responded vaguely. She readily agreed to Wood Crossing's proposal. At the same time, while the two were communicating, they did not notice a pair of eyes staring inside through the gap outside the door. At first, Du Guyan was a little confused, and then suddenly thought of something, and her face flushed instantly. This bastard. I knew there was something fishy between you. As expected. Du Guyan was a little stingy, but through the gap, seeing Wu Crossing's extremely enjoyable expression, she became a little skeptical. Is it really that comfortable? Should I agree to him next time? She had never agreed before, no matter how hard Wu Crossing tried to coax her, saying that Sister Ruoxi and Ling Ling had done it before, but now that she found out that other women were also like this, she wavered. Wu Crossing didn't know that Du Guyan was peeking, nor did he know what she was thinking, but the result was as expected, and she didn't last for 20 minutes. This almost blinded Du Guyan outside. She knew very well how strong her man was, and it would be impossible to end in 1 hour, just like a wild bull. But now. Chapter 110 A Wonderful Gift. Shrek Academy. Although it was late at night, there were still a few students waiting inside, and one of them looked out the academy gate from time to time. This person looked a little anxious, and it was Tangsen who had been looking forward to Xiao Wu's return. Now he was extremely anxious, and what happened this afternoon made him think too much, and he was always afraid that Xiao Wu was not going shopping. Xiao-san, don't worry, this isn't Xiandao City. Xiao Wu and Zhu King and Rang Rang are just going shopping. They won't encounter any danger. Damu Bei looked at Tangsen walking back and forth, and was also very helpless. Since the other party had a conflict with Xiao Wu, it was like a different person. The previous calmness and stability disappeared, and people began to become irritable and impulsive. In his heart, he felt that the other party's control desire was too strong. How many girls could bear it? If it continued like this, it was possible to go their separate ways. As for him, it was different. As a veteran in the flower world, he knew how to chase girls. Look at Zhu King. He never tried. Actually he couldn't. And Oscar's constant approach would not work either. It would only cause girls to dislike him. Facing Damu Bei's persuasion, Tangsen did not answer. Xiandao City was guarded by the army, and the public security was better than that of Soto City. He believed it. But is this what he was worried about? He was worried that Xiao Wu was not shopping, but going to meet that guy privately. Of course, he couldn't say this, so he could only swallow it in his stomach. The waiting time was long. Just when Tangsen was looking forward to it, he saw 3 figures appear under the street lights in the distance. Xiao Wu, where did you go shopping? Why did you come back so late? Tangsen hurriedly stepped forward and asked with concern. When he thought that Xiao Wu, who was still angry with him, would not pay attention, the other party's next words made him happy. I went shopping with Rang Rang and Zhu King. Xiao Wu's answer was a little unnatural, mainly because she had never lied before, and she always felt uncomfortable when she lied for the first time. However, Tangsen did not notice Xiao Wu's appearance, and was still immersed in the joy of her talking to him. Seeing Tangsen's face full of emotion, Ning Rang Rang's disgusted expression flashed across her, but she didn't say anything. Xiao Wu still had a task assigned by the bad guy to do, so she let him be happy first. Tangsen, I have something to tell you. Just as Tangsen was happy, Xiao Wu's words made him ecstatic again. What did Xiao Wu want to tell him? Could it be that she saw the guy's face clearly and wanted to restore the previous relationship with him? But because of so many companions, she was embarrassed to speak, so she let him follow alone. Xiao Wu, what's the big deal? We are all best friends. There is no face to lose. Thinking of this, Tangsen's steps became much lighter, and the previous depression had long been swept away. When they came to a small forest of the academy, Xiao Wu stopped and looked at the other party with a complicated expression. Seeing Xiao Wu's complicated eyes, Tangsen was more certain that the other party felt embarrassed and couldn't speak to him. He patted his chest and said generously, Xiao Wu, there is no need to say sorry. Brotherson understands everything. Brotherson is not angry. It is normal that you are simple-minded and were deceived by that guy. Now you can see his true character. You are still Xiao Wu, the one that Brotherson loves the most. Xiao Wu opened her mouth after hearing this, with a look of disbelief. What do you mean there is no need to say sorry? What do you mean you are not angry? What do you mean I have seen Brother Wu Crossing's true character? Xiao Wu was directly confused by Tangsen's words. After a long time to react, she just felt disgusted. I didn't expect that the other party was not only double standard, but also a common believer. But it's good this way. The guilt that I had originally felt has completely disappeared at this moment. Taking a deep breath, Xiao Wu slowly said, Tang-san, wrong. Zhu King and I went out to buy some gifts, and I also prepared one for you. I plan to give it to you. Haha, Xiao Wu, why are you being so polite to brother-san? Tang-san was stunned at first, and then laughed. His face, which was originally full of clouds, had already changed to a bright chrysanthemum. Sure enough, Xiao Wu still liked him, and in order to reconcile, he specially prepared a gift for him. Haha, that guy also wanted to stir up the relationship between himself and Xiao Wu for so many years, but he didn't take a piss and take a good look. What the hell, how can the friendship between him and Xiao Wu for so many years be what you want? Smiling happily in his heart, Tang-san let out a long breath, and then pretended to be casual and said, Xiao Wu, what gift did you prepare for brother-san? You close your eyes. Xiao Wu gritted her teeth and lowered her little head. Looking at Xiao Wu's appearance, Tang-san realized that Xiao Wu was shy. He immediately closed his eyes and said with great expectation, Xiao Wu, brother-san, I have closed my eyes and will never peek. Hearing Tang-san's answer, Xiao Wu looked up again and saw that he had indeed closed his eyes. Then he slowly took out the hat emitting strong green light from the diary copy warehouse. Looking at the hat flashing green light in front of her, Xiao Wu was very nervous and her heartbeat was also beating suddenly. It was indeed a bit panicking for her to do such a thing. However, when she thought of brother Wu crossing, wrong, Zhu King and the others, and her own future, her eyes became firm. The slightly trembling hand raised the hat and passed it over Tang-san's head. Her beautiful eyes were solemn, and she gritted her teeth and then put it down. With a click, the hat emitting endless green light was directly locked on the other's head. Tang-san, who had been closing his eyes, felt Xiao Wu's soft little hand groping on his head, and his heart was filled with happiness. Seeing Tang-san put on the hat steadily, Xiao Wu felt relieved for some reason. The task that brother Wu crossing had assigned to her was finally completed. Xiao Wu, are you done? Tang-san, who had his eyes closed, waited for a long time, but didn't hear Xiao Wu asking him to open his eyes, so he couldn't help asking. Xiao Wu was staring at the hat on Tang-san's head in a daze, because the hat was very suitable for Tang-san, as if it was tailor-made for him, and there was no sense of disobedience at all. If she didn't know the properties of the hat, she would think it was the best gift. Now she suddenly heard Tang-san's question, and she came back to her senses and nodded. Okay, open your eyes. Hearing this, Tang-san immediately opened his eyes, but after opening them, the scene in front of him made him stunned for a while. The originally dark grove was now much brighter, reflecting green light everywhere, which was similar to the surrounding greenery. Hey, Xiao Wu, did you set up some lighting? It's so bright around here. Tang-san hadn't realized the source of the problem yet, thinking that Xiao Wu had specially arranged the scene in front of him, wanting to have the most beautiful and romantic encounter with him. No. Xiao Wu felt uncomfortable under Tang-san's burning gaze. No? Tang-san was slightly startled and looked around, but didn't find any lighting soul guide. He was puzzled, and his expression froze the next second, and he finally realized that something was wrong. As his head turned, the light seemed to move with it. Chapter 111 Tang-san fainted from anger. Instantly, Tang-san's heart skipped a beat. His body couldn't help but start to tremble, and he had an ominous premonition in his heart. Without thinking too much, he quickly rushed to the stream not far away and looked down. When he saw his own figure in the water, he was dumbfounded, completely dumbfounded, and stood there in a daze. The green light came from the hat on his head. Xiao Wu, the gift she said, was actually a green hat for him. She even put it on her own head. At this moment, Tang-san staggered back a few steps and fell to the ground. His heart was extremely sad, and his face kept changing. He stretched out his hand to take off the hat, but he found that he couldn't take it off, as if it was something growing on his head. Suddenly, he panicked beyond compare, panicked forever. In his previous life, he knew what a green hat meant. It meant that a woman was having an affair. Xiao Wu had been intimate with another man in the afternoon, and she even gave him a green hat in the evening. He felt that his dignity had been trampled on, and endless humiliation filled his body. Bloodshot eyes filled Tang San's heart-wrenching roar. Why? Xiao Wu, why do you do this to me? He couldn't understand why Xiao Wu, such a good girl, would do such a thing. Xiao Wu was such a good girl before, kind-hearted, lively and cute, but now she came to humiliate him. He didn't believe it, and didn't want to believe it, and couldn't accept it. It must have been instructed by someone else. Yes, it must be that guy. Apart from him, Tang San couldn't think of a simple Xiao Wu who would give him a green hat as a gift. The movement here naturally attracted the attention of the little monsters, and they all ran over here. When they saw the hat reflecting green light on Tang San's head, Damu Bei and others were all startled, and words such as very green, very bright, and very cool emerged in their minds. Xiao-san, what's wrong? After reacting, Damu Bei and others looked at Tang San, then looked at Xiao Wu and asked hurriedly. Tang San did not answer, but stared at Xiao Wu. When Ning Rangrang arrived, she saw the helpless Xiao Wu, and hurriedly walked up to her, hugged her, her face sank, and said harshly, Tang San, why are you bullying Xiao Wu again? Tang San vomited blood, and was about to speak, but Ning Rangrang accused him again. Xiao Wu bought you a hat out of kindness, hoping to ease the relationship with you, but you did not repent, and bullied Xiao Wu. It was really a waste of kindness. Ning Rangrang was no worse than the other party in terms of turning the tables. After scolding Xiao Wu, she said to Xiao Wu, this guy's not worth your efforts, don't pay attention to him anymore. This little witch showed her acting skills to the fullest, as if she was possessed by a movie queen, and people couldn't tell whether it was true or false. Xiao-san, you are wrong. Xiao Wu gave you a gift, how can you get angry at her? Damu Bei frowned, and stood up to say. Oscar nodded and said, yes, Xiao-san, even if you don't like the gift Xiao Wu gave you, you can't do this. If Rang gave him a hat like this, he would want to wear it on his head every day, and he wouldn't even take it off when taking a shower. Unfortunately, even if he wanted it, Rang probably wouldn't give it to him. The other party was still not satisfied. It was really annoying. Mahanjan also responded, Brother San, let me be fair, Xiao Wu is very attentive, the hat she bought is so suitable for you, I think she has carefully selected it, so don't be picky. In his opinion, the hat Tang San is wearing now is so beautiful and cool, especially the endless light. He is the most handsome guy wherever he goes. He can't find anyone to give it to him, even if he wants it. Bei Chengxiang, fatty, don't worry, I will give it to you. Listening to Damu Bei and the others questioning him, Tang San felt that his internal organs were rolling. But this hat is green. Tang San's mouth was sweet, and he was so angry that he vomited blood. What's wrong with green? A green hat is not very good looking. I think it suits you very well. Damu Bei didn't know how to describe Tang San's recent performance. He could have taken this opportunity to ease the relationship between the two, but he didn't know why he went crazy and ruined it. That's right, Xiao-san, look how well this hat suits you, I can't see what's wrong with it. Oscar said a little jealously. Third brother, if you don't like it, just give it to me. Mahanjan agreed with the two people's point of view. It's just a green hat, what's the big deal? Why are you so angry? Hearing this, Tang San was shaking with anger. He wanted to explain, but didn't know how to start. After all, there is no such thing as a green hat in Douluo Continent. Thinking that there is no such thing in Douluo Continent, Tang San fell into doubt, and looked at Xiao Wu. Seeing her weak appearance and helpless eyes, could it be that he really misunderstood, and Xiao Wu really gave him a green hat to ease the relationship? Xiao Wu, third brother. I misunderstood you. I will wear it. I like the green hat you gave me very much. At this point, Tang San knew that he could not change it, and said with a forced smile. He was really stupid. There was no such thing as a green hat in this world. Even if he wore it, no one would know. What if Xiao Wu didn't mean that? He would have made things worse. But Tang San's face was so fake, now that Damu Bei and others couldn't bear to look at it, and turned their heads away. Now you know you are wrong. Why didn't you do it earlier? Ning Rangrang was unreasonable when she heard it. Xiao Wu looked at Tang San, who always made excuses for herself in the end, shook her head in disappointment, and said, "I'm tired, I'm going back, we have no relationship in the future." After that, she turned around and left the grove without looking back. Looking at Xiao Wu, who left without any hesitation, Tang San's mentality collapsed, completely collapsed. He had already expressed his love for her. Why was he still angry? Why did he leave? Xiao Wu, third brother really likes you to give me a green hat. It's really not intentional. Tang San shouted heartbreakingly, trying to win back Xiao Wu, but no matter how he shouted, the other party did not turn back. Xiao-san, you really went too far this time. Damu Bei walked to Tang San, patted his shoulder, sighed, and went back to the dormitory. Alas. Oscar looked at the three women who left, then looked at Tang San, shook his head, and followed Damu Bei's footsteps. Third brother, I can't do anything. Mahanjan opened his mouth, said something, and left here as well. Today, third brother really went too far. First, he got angry with Rang Grang in the afternoon, and now Xiao Wu finally changed her mind and gave him a green hat, but he angered her away again. Even as a brother, he was a little disappointed. Looking at the people who left in disappointment, Tang San could no longer hold back. Blood spurted out of his mouth, and then his eyes went black, and he fell to the ground. Only the green hat on his head continued to glow, and continued to shine. Chapter 112. Visiting Tang San. What? You said Tang San fainted from anger? The next day, Wu Crossing just woke up, and received a message from Ning Rang Grang. He was a little confused. This little jerk has a bad mentality. He just couldn't accept Xiao Wu cheating on him, and vomited blood and fainted. You know, he still has many tricks to use. It would be too boring to end it early. Yes. Ning Rang Grang nodded and replied. Then do you still plan to come to the Shy and Our Great Soul Fighting Arena to participate in the competition today? Wu Crossing asked curiously. I won't go. The master said to wait until Xiao-san wakes up. Ning Rang Grang's face was slightly dissatisfied when she replied. That Tang San himself is useless. What does it have to do with her? And she insisted that she and others were also restricted in the academy. Seeing the dissatisfaction in Ning Rang Grang's words, Wu Crossing's mouth curled up and typed, how about I go to find you? Anyway, this place is very close to Shrek Academy, and you can go to play with this little witch anytime, after participating in the soul fighting competition. Of course, he also wanted to see what that little jerk looked like when he was cuckolded, and it would be even better if something happened with Xiao Wu. You came to see us? Ning Rang Grang was a little surprised when she heard it. Why, are you not welcome? Or does your college not allow outsiders to visit? Wu Crossing couldn't help asking. Ning Rang Grang shook her head quickly and said, no, send me a message when you come, and I'll give you a surprise. She was so excited that brother Wu Crossing could come to play with her, so how could she refuse? Surprise? Wu Crossing was stunned, and the scene of yesterday appeared in his mind, with a smirk on his face. Can you tell me what the surprise is? No. Ning Rang Grang blushed, and shook her head. If she told it in advance, it would not be a surprise. After answering with a blush, her eyes were fixed on her beautiful calves. She saw that her fair calves were wearing a long pair of white patterned stockings, which tightly wrapped her round legs, and went deep into her thighs. That's right, she kept Wu Crossing's words yesterday in mind, and she didn't wear the original short socks anymore, but changed into long white stockings. After several contacts, Ning Rang Grang found that this lecher not only liked her to kneel down and press her head, but also was very interested in her legs. Every time she could see him enjoying it, he would look at her calves intently. The same was true for the little panda. After several times, she felt that it had become much bigger, although sometimes it was not light enough and would hurt her. However, Ning Rang Grang was still very happy about these things. Not only did she like excitement and the feeling of being completely opposite to her status in the sect, but she was also very attractive in front of the bad guy. Okay, then wait for me. I will come to find you after I participate in the competition. Wu Crossing did not chase Ning Rang Grang to tell him any surprises. He typed this line with a smile and quickly prepared. With this expectation in his heart, Wu Crossing did things without any delay. He won the single and double competitions at lightning speed. As for the team competition, he simply did not participate. With the current situation of the second team, with Du Guyan and Li Lingling, there would be no failure at all. So after lunch, he left the hotel and walked towards Shrek Academy. After a 10-minute walk, Wu Crossing saw the building of Shrek Academy from afar. Ning Rangrong, who had received the news, had already been waiting at the door. "Brother Wu Crossing." Ning Rangrong shouted at Wu Crossing as he arrived, waving at him and trotting over. Looking at Ning Rangrong, who was wearing a cyan short skirt and brown high-heeled leather shoes and walking quickly, Wu Crossing's face was also filled with a smile. When the two of them got closer, he couldn't move his eyes away, all on her long white patterned stockings. It wasn't so eye-catching when she was far away just now, but now that he was close, he realized that this little witch really listened to him and put on stockings. "Rangrong, is this the surprise you said?" Wu Crossing swallowed his saliva and almost couldn't resist the urge to grab it in his hands and play with it. Big bad guy, do you like it?" Ning Rangrong had already noticed Wu Crossing's gaze, and she laughed and picked up her skirt and turned around happily. "I like it. I really like it too much." Wu Crossing nodded heavily. This little witch is not very old, but she knows how to attract men. If it weren't for the wrong occasion, he would have thought about doing something bad. Ning Rangrong was very satisfied when she heard this. Sure enough, this bad boy liked her surprise very much. Retracting her joy, Ning Rangrong took Wu Crossing's arm with both hands and said, "Brother Wu Crossing, I will take you to the academy." "Okay." Wu Crossing nodded without thinking much. At the gate of Shrek Academy, there were 2 male students on duty. Ning Rangrong, as a new junior who had been here for 2 months, had become the goddess in the hearts of many students in the academy with her beautiful face, tall figure, and huge family background. Of course, Xiao Wu and Zhu Xing were the same. The 3 of them were soon called the 4 goddesses of the academy with Jiangsu. However, because Shrek Academy, formerly known as Lanba Academy, mainly recruited civilian soul masters, even if they liked it, they did not dare to show it. In addition, Oscar has always been around them, and they know that they are not as talented as them, so they can't muster up the courage. Today, they didn't expect that the daughter of the 7 treasures glazed tile sect, who was indifferent to Oscar, was now holding hands with an outsider, which really made them feel heartbroken. With Ning Rangrong's leadership, the 2 students on duty did not stop them and entered the academy easily. The academy is quite large and the environment is not bad, but there is still a big gap compared to the Xiandao Royal Academy, but it is simple and elegant. It's like people who are used to eating mountain steamed seafood will feel that fine bran is not bad. "Xiao Wu, where is Zhu King?" Wu Crossing asked puzzledly after entering Shrek Academy and walking on the campus path. Ning Rangrong pursed her lips when she heard this, pretending to be angry and said, "You big bad guy, I knew you would ask Xiao Wu and Zhu King." Ahem. Wu Crossing looked at it and felt a little funny. He coughed twice and then said, "Okay, then I won't ask them. Just ask Tang-san. Take me to see the Son of Destiny." Humph. Ning Rangrong snorted coldly and then explained, "Xiao Wu and Zhu King are in the dormitory. I didn't tell them that you came here. As for that little jerk, he's probably still lying in the medical room." "Medical room?" Wu Crossing was stunned when he heard this. "He hasn't woken up yet." Ning Rangrong nodded and said, as if she thought of something, and then said, "Does your hat have any other meaning?" Thinking of Tang-san's hysterical roar when he faced the green hat last night and his terrified look, Ning Rangrong suspected that in addition to breaking the protagonist's halo, there were other meanings. Otherwise, Tang-san would not have become like this and finally vomited blood and fell into a coma. Chapter 113, Killing and Destroying the Heart. "You guessed right." Wu Crossing chuckled and then told Ning Rangrong about the cuckold before he crossed over. Ning Rangrong listened to Wu Crossing's explanation and her face changed from weird to very exciting, and finally she shuddered all over. No wonder Tang-san roared heartbreakingly, no wonder that guy couldn't stand the blow and vomited blood. His beloved girl gave him a big green hat, which was unbearable for any man, let alone a hypocritical little scoundrel. You are so bad." Ning Rangrong's face flushed, and compared to the ability to break the protagonist's halo, its meaning was really hurtful. and this big bad guy came here today and said he wanted to visit the other party, which was simply killing people. Of course, for such an exciting thing, she also showed excitement and didn't mind adding a few more knives. As expected of a little witch, her ideas are different. That's what he asked for. Wood Crossing smiled and said, I'm a person who knows how to distinguish between gratitude and resentment. If he hadn't been hypocritical and turned the tables, Xiao Wu wouldn't have been disappointed, and the following things wouldn't have happened. Wood Crossing was telling the truth. If Xiao hadn't been hypocritical, he wouldn't have let Xiao Wu down, and the following things wouldn't have happened. What are you waiting for? Let's go over there. Ning Rangrang's eyes were shining, and she looked excited, as if she had turned into an evil witch. She felt the same way as Wood Crossing. If that guy wasn't hypocritical, she wouldn't have deliberately targeted him. If that guy didn't care about the friendship between teammates and even wanted to kill her, why would she step on him so hard? Looking at Ning Rangrang, who was more excited than himself, Wood Crossing laughed dumbly. He liked the other person's daring character. Rangrang. Just as the two of them walked along the path and came to a building, they ran into Oscar, who came out with Dame Yubei and Mahanjan to visit Tang San. Seeing Rangrang holding Wood Crossing's arm intimately, talking and laughing, his heart suddenly skipped a beat, and an unspeakable sadness surged in his heart. It was the first time he saw Rangrang showing such a happy expression, as if the two were a couple, without the slightest sense of disobedience. Sure enough, was he redundant? Oscar was very lost. Although Rangrang tried his best to protect him in the fighting arena yesterday, he had some guesses in his heart, but when he really saw this scene, his breathing became unsmooth. Dame Yubei and Mahanjan also looked at each other, not knowing what to say. Dame Yubei knew that Xiao's pursuit of Ning Rangrang would not have any results. After all, she was the eldest daughter of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, with a very high status. In the sect, there was no shortage of licking dogs. Mahanjan was actually unhappy with Wood Crossing, who suddenly appeared. After all, it was more or less uncomfortable to say that the goddess of his own team was abducted by other outsiders. But due to the protection of Xiao Wu, Rangrang, and Zhu King, he couldn't show it. Ning Rangrang was slightly startled when she saw Oscar, but she quickly came to her senses and said, Oscar, now that you have seen him, I will tell you straight, Brother Wood Crossing is the person I like, so please don't do anything to please me in the future. She had no feelings for Oscar, and had clearly expressed that she would not like him, but he kept getting close to her, and she had no choice. Now that Brother Wood Crossing was here, and happened to be seen by him, she could use this opportunity to dispel his thoughts. Moreover, she did not want Brother Wood Crossing to misunderstand. Hearing Ning Rangrang's words, Oscar staggered, forced a smile on his face, then nodded and left. Seeing Oscar leave, Dame Yubei and Mahanjan sighed and hurriedly followed. Watching this scene, Wood Crossing did not speak from beginning to end. Although the two were husband and wife in the original novel, that was the original novel. Now that he had traveled through time, the plot had already changed, and he would not reject any woman who liked him. Besides, Kozen and the like were also his favorites. Let's go, Brother Wood Crossing, let's go in. Seeing that Wood Crossing was not upset about Oscar, Ning Rangrang breathed a sigh of relief, and took his hand to walk into the medical room. So bright, so shiny, so cool. Entering the medical room, what caught Wood Crossing's eyes was Tang San lying on the bed, wearing a green hat on his head. At this time, Tang San had woken up. Hearing the sound of the door opening, he wondered why De Lao Dao and the others had just gone out and came back again. Looking over, he was instantly furious. It's you. Seeing the two people coming in, Tang San's eyes were bloodshot, and he said fiercely to Wood Crossing. He never thought that his most humiliating appearance would be seen by the person he hated the most. Wood Crossing looked at the furious Tang San. A smile appeared on his face, slowly came in front of him, pulled a stool next to him and sat down. I heard from Rangrang that you were unconscious, so I came to see you on purpose. Wood Crossing pretended to be concerned. Looking at the other person's smiling eyes, Tang San knew that this guy was definitely not just caring about him on the surface, and he shouted again, I don't need your hypocrisy. You are not welcome here. Please leave. Tang San, Brother Wu Crossing came to see you with good intentions, but you didn't appreciate it and drove him away. Is this what you call hospitality? Before Wu Crossing could answer, Ning Rangrong had already scolded him. Ning Rangrong, do you really think I dare not attack you? Tang San's face was gloomy. If the man he hated the most now was Wu Crossing, Ning Rangrong was the woman he hated the most. If it weren't for this woman blocking him, how could he and Xiao Wu get further and further apart? Alright, Rangrong, stop talking. It's normal that brother Tangsan doesn't like me. After all, he's still upset about the Douluo Mansion incident. Wu Crossing pretended to wave his hand to stop Ning Rangrong from fighting back, then looked at Tangsan and said, Brother Tangsan, I know you have a lot of complaints about me, but I'm here to visit you this time. When I learned about your situation, I rushed over as soon as I could. Wu Crossing's words were sincere. It was true that he came to visit Tangsan, but he was just worried that the other party's mentality was not good and he couldn't hold on for long. Then there would be no fun. Wu Crossing. Tangsan almost fainted again. How could he not know what this guy was up to? It was obvious that he came to see him laugh. Wu Crossing didn't care about Tangsan's glare. He glanced over his head and said in surprise, Brother Tangsan, the hat you wear is quite unique. Where did you buy it? Tangsan was already very angry about Wu Crossing's arrival. Now he hit his sore spot in person, and he was even more angry. Wu Crossing, if you keep talking nonsense, don't blame me for being rude. His patience has reached its limit. This is not the way to insult someone. Well, it seems that brother Tangsan doesn't welcome me. In that case, I'm sorry to bother you. Wu Crossing saw that this little jerk was about to explode and immediately stood up with the corner of his mouth slightly raised and said to Ning Rangrong, let's not disturb brother Tangsan's recovery here. Take me to see Xiao Wu. Chapter 114. Tangsan is about to faint again. Hearing Wu Crossing's words, Tangsan felt his chest surging and then his throat felt sweet and blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. I'm not unwelcome. I didn't bother you. I was just upset just now. Tangsan gritted his teeth and said word by word. Although he knew that the other party said this on purpose, he had to swallow his anger. It was absolutely impossible to let the other party go to find Xiao Wu. With Xiao Wu's lost look last night, if this guy went to find her, it would be easy for the other party to take advantage of it. A woman, a hurt woman, is often extremely fragile in her heart. If a man breaks into her heart at this time, it will never be saved. After thinking for a whole morning, he has understood and realized it. What happened yesterday was too rash. It was completely because of his sensitivity that he misunderstood Xiao Wu, which caused some romantic things that could have happened. Not only did not happen, but also caused the relationship between the two to become more distant. There is no such thing as a cuckold in this world. I have known Xiao Wu for so long. How could she, who is so simple, have ulterior motives? Thinking of the missed opportunity to ease the situation, and thinking of how he played a good hand so badly, he wanted to slap himself hard. So now, he had to stabilize Wu Crossing, and not let him meet Xiao Wu. Even if he wanted to kill him to vent his hatred, this was the academy. If he took action, it would definitely cause a stir. And what about killing Wu Crossing? How would he deal with Ning Rangrong? Kill her too? If he really wanted to do this, not to mention what Xiao Wu and Zhu King would think, even Dame Yubei, Oscar, Mahanjan and a group of teachers would probably be as scared of him as snakes and scorpions, and they might even be expelled from the academy. Therefore, if he wanted to get rid of these two people, he couldn't do it in the academy at least. He could only wait until they were outside, and he had to kill them in one blow, leaving no clues. Are you sure? Seeing Tangsan change his words, Wu Crossing's mouth curled up. Sure. Tangsan suppressed his anger and nodded. He felt too aggrieved to have to smile in front of the person he hated the most. But for Xiao Wu, he had to suppress his murderous intent. Seeing blood oozing from the corners of Tangsan's mouth, and saying something that went against his will, Wu Crossing suppressed his smile and said slowly, Brother Tangsan, if you don't like it, don't force it. I'll ask Xiao Wu to speak well of you, maybe she will forgive you. No need. Tangsan's forehead kept twitching, and he didn't believe a word of Wu Crossing's words. but I see blood oozing from the corners of your mouth. Don't you really want me to talk to Xiao Wu? Wu Crossing's face was full of concern, and people who didn't know would think that the two were best brothers. Seeing Wu Crossing's serious nonsense, Ning Rang Grang on the side almost couldn't help laughing out loud. This big bad guy was really too bad. He might not be as cruel as killing people and breaking their hearts, and he wasn't afraid of making the other party faint again. No need. Tang San wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth and pretended that he was fine. Okay. Seeing this, Wu Crossing returned to the bed and sat down slowly. By the way, brother Tang San, you haven't told me where you bought this hat. It suits you very well. After sitting down, Wu Crossing couldn't help asking again. You. Tang San almost fainted when he was reminded of the green hat again, but when he thought that the other party didn't know the meaning of the green hat, he suppressed it and said, Xiao Wu gave it to me. Xiao Wu gave it to me? Wu Crossing pretended to be surprised and said, it seems that Xiao Wu really cares about you. The hats she chose are so suitable for your temperament, and the green is shining. I will ask Xiao Wu to give me one someday, but I don't like green, so I asked her to give me a black one. Tang San's face suddenly changed, and his hands clenched involuntarily. If he didn't know clearly that there is no such thing as a green hat in this world, he would have suspected that the other party was deliberately teasing him. What's wrong? Brother Tang San, don't worry, the green hat is a special gift from Xiao Wu to you. I won't snatch it from you. Wu Crossing saw Tang San's face change and immediately became carefree again, but he was already laughing in his heart. You, shut up. Tang San kept talking about his green hat. Even if he knew that the other party didn't know the meaning, he couldn't help but roar. Okay, I'll shut up. Wu Crossing quickly shut his mouth. But after a moment, he couldn't help but say, brother Tang San, I'm telling the truth. This green hat really suits you. Xiao Wu has a good eye. I'm a little. Wu Crossing. Fuck you. Before Wu Crossing finished speaking, Tang San, who couldn't bear it anymore, had already attacked the other party. Even if he was slow to react, he knew that he was fooled by the other party. The other party must know the meaning of green hat, otherwise he wouldn't have kept talking about this topic. Wu Crossing didn't mean to dodge Tang San's attack. It seemed that he didn't react to anything and just sat there. Of course, he could dodge at any time when Tang San attacked. The reason why he didn't move was because someone came over from outside. Tang San, what are you doing? At this moment, Tang San's attack was about to hit Wu Crossing's face, and an angry voice sounded from the door. It was Xiao Wu who spoke, accompanied by Zhu Zhuking and Liu Erlang. Hearing Xiao Wu's angry shout, Tang San shuddered and forcibly retracted the claws that were grabbing Wu Crossing's neck. Xiao Wu, I didn't do anything. Tang San didn't expect Xiao Wu and others to come at this time and was a little dumbfounded for a moment. It's like this again. Looking at the smile on Wu Crossing's face, Tang San knew that he was fooled again and was fooled by the other party again. No? Do you think I'm blind? Xiao Wu was indescribably angry. If she hadn't arrived, would brother Wu Crossing have died? Although brother Wu Crossing has the resurrection technique, it is so precious. Tang San wanted to cry, but had no tears. Why couldn't he hold back? If he had held back for a while, he wouldn't have let the other party succeed. Tang San, you are really going too far, intending to hurt brother Wu Crossing. Zhu Zhuking was also angry for a rare time. She had read the copy of the diary and knew the terrifying nature of the other party's Tang sect hidden weapons. That thing can even seriously injure gods. Although brother Wu Crossing is powerful, he is definitely not its opponent now. Looking at the angry Xiao Wu and Zhu Zhuking, Tang San was speechless and couldn't explain his grievances. Okay, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuking, you may have misunderstood something. Brother Tang San didn't mean that. Maybe he didn't like what I said about the green hat. At this time, Wu Crossing smiled and made a smooth talk. Wu Crossing put on the appearance of a good old man and scratched Tang San's wound hard. This guy's really good at pretending. Chapter 115 Tang San's secret weapon. Tang San now really recognized the guy in front of him. He had been led by the other party from the beginning to the end. The purpose was probably for this moment, so as to provoke Xiao Wu's Yuking's rage and show himself to be generous. Then, through this incident, in the eyes of those who did not know, the superiority of the two sides was immediately determined. What a cruel heart, what a vicious scheme. Wu Crossing, if you have the guts, sign a life and death agreement with me, don't play any conspiracy. Tang San knew that he was far from being a match for this guy in terms of playing routines, so he simply asked the other party to see the real thing. Facing Tang San's provocation, Wu Crossing didn't even need to speak. Ning Rangrang had already stood up for him and said, Tang San, I think you are crazy. Brother Wu Crossing came to see you with good intentions, but you provoked him again and again. What is your intention? Puff. Tang San heard the words and spurted out a mouthful of old blood. The other party looked at him with good intentions. If he really had good intentions, would he find ways to squeeze him? Would he keep holding on to the green hat on his head? But now, he was powerless to refute. Could he really tell the meaning of green hat? In that case, he could imagine what kind of expression people would have when they saw him in the future. Look, this is Tang San, the man who was cuckolded by Xiao Wu. He must not tell it, and he must not tell anyone, even if he was beaten to death. Otherwise he would become a joke in everyone's eyes, and the previous humiliation would be in vain. Are you Wu Crossing? Ignoring Tang San's vomiting blood, Liu Erlang looked at Wu Crossing and asked. She didn't care about Tang San. She cared more about whether the man in front of her was the owner of the diary. Yes, hello, Sister Erlang. Wu Crossing greeted with a smile. You are good at talking. Liu Erlang nodded after hearing this. She didn't expect that the owner of the diary was a little different from her impression. In her eyes, the other party was a man who liked to talk nonsense. After all, the other party often called this beautiful woman and that wife in his diary. Of course. Wu Crossing replied with a playful smile. The one in front of her was a hot-tempered female Tyrannosaurus. How could she dare to do anything like what was written in the diary? Even if she wanted to do anything, she should at least get to know her better. Seeing this, Liu Erlang couldn't help but roll her eyes. I just praised you, and you showed your true colors. Sister Erlang, I've always been like this. Wu Crossing spread his hands and said helplessly. You guys, don't tell the truth. Liu Erlang shook her head and said unhappily. She was just well behaved, but now she's getting naughty. Sister Erlang, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. What I said was not true, and it's also true that I have a lot of thoughts about you. Wu Crossing teased with a laugh. Wu Crossing's words made the girls on the side open their mouths wide. Brother Wu Crossing is too bold, isn't he? He even dares to tease Teacher Erlang? Isn't he afraid that she will go crazy? They understand Liu Erlang's temper very well. Tang San, who was so angry that he wanted to vomit blood, was also dumbfounded when he heard Wu Crossing's words, but then he was ecstatic. He had also seen the temper of this vice president, but he didn't expect that Wu Crossing would dare to tease him. Teacher Erlang taught me a hard lesson for this guy. It would be best if he could not take care of himself and then throw him out of the academy. Unfortunately, the idea was beautiful, but the reality was very skinny. Liu Erlang was not angry at Wu Crossing's teasing. Okay, if you only marry me, I don't mind being your woman. This time it was Wu Crossing's turn to be dumbfounded. After a long time, he came back to his senses and smiled awkwardly. Then forget it. It was impossible for him to give up the entire forest for the other party, even though he also wanted to be a dragon knight. At the same time, Tang San was completely confused. How did this guy do it? He was sure that Vice President Liu Erlang had just met Wu Crossing, but why could she make the hot-tempered other party not angry at this guy's teasing, but also recommend herself to be her woman? Could it be that he is more handsome than himself, or that he is good at playing tricks, so he is popular in front of so many women? Tang San racked his brains, but couldn't figure out what was going on. What charm did he have that made women crazy about him when they first met? Just like 2 months ago, Xiao Wu and the others didn't know each other, but when they met again, they had become good friends, without even a sign. I know you won't accept it, but I have to warn you, don't let Xiao Wu and the others down, otherwise I will definitely not forgive you when I find out. Liu Erlang had expected Wood Crossing's answer. She could also see that Xiao Wu and Rang Rang were already interested in this guy. Even the taciturn and cold Zhu King was probably not far from falling. As for the choices of the women, she had no say in it. This continent was originally a place where the strong were respected. Not to mention a man like him who had a great opportunity. It was destined to attract countless women. If she hadn't started to resist men because of Uzayada Gang's matter, she might have been the same as the women. Tang San, who was standing by, almost vomited blood again after hearing what Liu Erlang said. What do you mean by not disappointing Xiao Wu and the others? Is this something you can say as the vice president? Don't worry, Sister Erlang, I won't disappoint any woman who likes me. Wood Crossing patted his chest and promised. Although he was a scumbag, he would not get tired of the old and fall in love with the new, and would not let his woman be bullied. That's good. Liu Erlang nodded, then glanced at the depressed Tang San next to him, and said, Tang San, since you've woken up, don't stay here anymore. Tang San was stunned, his face full of disbelief. He was a wounded soldier, and he was driven away before he recovered? However, considering the other party's identity and his very hot temper, he didn't dare to show his dissatisfaction, even if he was dissatisfied. He could only drag his injured body and slowly leave. He just stopped when he passed by Xiao Wu and said, Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu didn't look at him and looked away, as if she didn't hear him. Seeing Xiao Wu like this, Tang San was heartbroken. Why did he get angry at her last night? Now, she is even more dissatisfied and doesn't even pay attention to him. Thinking of this, he was very regretful. Of course, he didn't hate Xiao Wu. It was Wood Crossing who did all this. It was the other party who used insidious means to make Xiao Wu alienate him and misunderstand him. Not only did he want to avenge this hatred, but he also wanted to pay back the humiliation he suffered in the past 2 days 100 times and 1,000 times. He subconsciously reached for his 24 Bridges Moonlit Night in his hand, which contained the Tang Sect hidden weapon he used as his trump card. Since the incident at Douluo Mansion, he realized his shortcomings, and after more than a month of secret creation, it finally came out. Originally, he thought of using it as a trump card when his life was in danger, but now he couldn't care about anything. Only by getting rid of the other party as soon as possible could he feel at ease and make Xiao Wu change her mind. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 116 Body Density. You better be careful next time. Seeing Tang San leave, Liu Erlang glanced at Wood Crossing, her words hinting at something. The vicious look and flash of hostility that the other party had just inadvertently revealed, although very obscure. How could Liu Erlang, as a soul saint, not notice it? Through this period of secret observation, she also saw the character of this son of destiny, selfish, self-interested, hypocritical, double-standard, just as Wood Crossing said, without any advantages of being a protagonist, but more like a villain. Thank you Sister Erlang for your reminder. That guy can't hurt me, Wood Crossing said with a smile. It would be strange if the other party didn't react to what he did just now. Seeing the other party's confident look, Liu Erlang was a little surprised and said, didn't you say that his hidden weapon can severely injure the gods? I have investigated during this period. He has been hanging around the blacksmith shop in Xiandao City for more than a month. That's for you. Wood Crossing smiled slightly. His body density is not the hydrogen man of Douluo Continent. As long as the opponent's hidden weapon is not driven by a soul power level that crushes his own, even the strongest single rain pear blossom needle can be resisted. Of course, this does not mean that Wood Crossing's attributes are stronger than the gods, but his own density, which has nothing to do with attributes. His physical attributes have reached the level of soul saints, but his body density, even if he is in love with peerless strongmen like Bibidang or Poseidon, they can't withstand his attack. But he can beat them in bed, but he will be beaten by them under the bed for the time being. In that case, then you can chat. Sister will go back first. Liu Erlang nodded, without any intention of asking, and prepared to leave. Having already met the owner of the diary, they knew each other. As for her having other thoughts about Wu crossing like other women, she didn't have that intention. In her mind, there was no possibility of sharing a man with other women. Of course, what she said just now was also true. Now she had given up on Yu Xiao Gang. If Wu crossing only liked her, she didn't mind being his woman. If he wanted to be with other women, forget it. Sister Erlong, wait a minute, add a friend first. Wu crossing stopped Liu Erlong, who was about to leave, and asked her to add a friend. He also knew that there were so many diary copy holders, and it was impossible for every woman to like him and care about him. Liu Erlong was one of such women. He could accept anyone who came, and he would not force anyone who didn't have this idea. After adding friends, Liu Erlong left, and only Wu crossing and Xiao Wu were left in the medical room. When Liu Erlong left, the little witch Ning Rang Grang couldn't wait to ask, "Brother Wu crossing, how is Tangsen now? Is the hat working?" She was most concerned about the protagonist halo. She felt uncomfortable when she thought that, if she became an enemy, she would become a love-brained person. Xiao Wu and Zhu Zuking pricked up their ears and looked at Wu crossing. It worked. You don't have to worry about the influence of his protagonist halo in the future. But even if he doesn't have the blessing of the world's luck, he still has many ways to fight against opponents of higher levels. Wu crossing smiled and nodded. Since Tangsen put on the hat, he was destined to be cheated. After getting the confirmation, the girls breathed a sigh of relief. When they saw the introduction of the protagonist halo in the diary copy, they were all scared. At the same time, Tang-san, who left with frustration, returned to his dormitory. At this time, his face was gloomy and terrible. Especially when he saw the hat emitting green light on his head in the mirror, he felt extremely ashamed. After trying several times, he found that he couldn't take off the hat at all, and it was completely integrated into his head. Where did Xiao Wu buy this hat, and why did this happen? Looking at the hat on his head in the mirror, Tangsen became more and more crazy, and the more he looked at it, the more he disliked it. There was really no way, so he turned around and went to find the teacher. With the teacher's vision, there should be a way to take it off. When Tangsen went to find Yu Xiao Gang, Wu crossing was also wandering around Shrek Academy under the guidance of the three girls. Hey, who is that man? Why is he so close to Xiao Wu and the others? Looking at his dress, he doesn't seem to be from our academy. Strange, why didn't I see Dame Yubei, Tangsen and the others? The four of them walked on the campus path, naturally attracting the attention of many students. As for this situation, Wu crossing had experienced it in Xiandao Royal Academy a long time ago, but now it was a different place. Are you Wu crossing? During the conversation, a sweet-looking girl with wine-red hair appeared. After seeing the four people here, her beautiful eyes flashed, and then she pursed her lips and walked forward to say hello. This female student was none other than the most popular goddess Jiangsu in Lanba Academy before Xiao and the others came. Jiangsu. Seeing the girl who came forward to say hello, Wu crossing recognized her at a glance. Ning Rang Grang and the other two girls were stunned when they saw the girl who appeared again. After a moment, when they came to their senses, the expressions of the girls looked very strange. They had heard of Jiangsu, but because the academy had not yet assigned a team for the all-continental elite competition, they had not made close friends. Unexpectedly, this girl was also a diary copy holder. How many women did this diary copy involve? There were nearly double-digit women in Xiandao City alone. If there were such women in the entire Douluo Continent, how many would there be? Not counting other worlds, they were a little speechless. Yeah. Wu crossing nodded. When Jiangsu took the initiative to greet him and asked if he was Wu crossing, he already knew that the other party also had a diary copy. At this time, the students passing by were already dumbfounded. If Xiao Wu and the other three girls were fine, they had only been in the academy for 2 months and didn't know much, but Jiangsu had lived in the academy for several years. They had never seen her flirting with other male students before. Why did she go up to chat with him now? What was so charming about that guy? They couldn't figure it out, and they couldn't understand it. Could it be that handsome guys could really do whatever they wanted? The rhythm of the four goddesses being abducted by each other. Brother Wu crossing, it's nice to meet you. Jiangsu was not surprised that Wu crossing knew her. A sweet smile appeared on her face, and she stretched out her hand to greet him. Nice to meet you, Jiangsu. Wu Crossing also stretched out his hand to shake it, and soon let go. After a simple meeting and chatting for a while, Jiangsu left after adding friends. The reason she came here was just to get to know him, and she didn't have any other thoughts. It is estimated that old diary holders would not mind getting to know Wu Crossing. After all, putting aside the identity of the diary owner, the resurrection technique he mastered would not be ignored even by women who had no desires. Chapter 117 Xiao Wu's beautiful legs. Wu Crossing and Xiao Wu walked side by side on the forest path behind the college. Originally, there were 4 people in the team, but now there were only 2 of them. The reason for this was because of Ning. She knew that Wu Crossing had already had ideas about Xiao Wu, but with Xiao Wu's personality, if she and Zhu were around, it would definitely be impossible to take the relationship to a higher level. So she found an excuse to leave the team. Although Zhu was aloof, she was not someone who didn't know anything. Rang clearly wanted to create an opportunity for the 2 to be alone together, and she also said that she followed him. But what made her think too much in her heart, and even felt a little aggrieved, was the scene she saw yesterday. Rang and Xiao Wu seemed to be his women. Among the 3 sisters, she seemed to be the only one who was not favored by the other party. As for the kiss, she took the initiative to kiss him. Did they look down on her? This couldn't help but make Zhu think so. It was no exaggeration to say that the relationship between the 3 women was like that of sisters, but after what happened in the Great Fighting Spirit Arena, she found that she was the only one who was kept in the dark. Whether it was the unbridled intimacy between Rang and that guy, which was more like a couple than a couple, or the scene where Xiao happily jumped into that guy's arms, it all indicated that she had unknowingly become a marginal person again. Wu Crossing didn't know Zhu's thoughts. If he knew, he would definitely take this little cat into his arms and love her well, so that she wouldn't feel wronged. Before crossing, among the 3 beauties of Shrek, he actually liked this little cat the most. After all, the other party had the hottest figure. Well, he is such a vulgar man, and he also admits that like most netizens, he often follows his appearance. After Ning and Zhu left, Xiao began to become nervous. Her heartbeat was like a deer, and her little face was also red and blinking, which was very cute. Although she had already regarded herself as Wu Crossing's woman in her heart, she was still very shy because of her thin face. As if sensing Xiao's inner nervousness, Wu Crossing reached out and held her hand. Sometimes men have to take the initiative to make the relationship heat up quickly. Not every girl is called Ning. I feel like I'm being implied. Xiao Wu trembled slightly when her hand was held, but she didn't shrink back. Instead, she let brother Wu Crossing pull her to the edge of the cliff at the back of the mountain. The scenery here is charming. The whole academy can be seen at a glance, and even a large part of the buildings of Xiandao City in the distance can be seen. It is a good place to talk about love. Logically, such a scenery should attract many student couples to come here, but in fact it didn't. Just because this back mountain is where Liu Erlang lives privately, anyone who wants to come must get her consent before going up. Holding Xiao Wu's hand, they came to the open grass and sat down. The 2 of them admired the beautiful scenery together and breathed the fresh air. The whole person seemed to be sublimated. As a soul beast, Xiao Wu likes the quiet environment now very much. When she was in the Xingdao Great Forest, she often did this, but at that time she was more likely to talk about things outside with Daming and Erming. Curiosity is also the nature of soul beasts, especially after she transformed. She was full of curiosity about the outside world. That's why, after Ara was killed, she came to the place where humans lived alone. Looking at the academy below, and the scenery in the distance, Xiao Wu's originally nervous and shy mood gradually calmed down. But this time didn't last long. She found that brother Wu Crossing beside her became abnormal. Brother Wu Crossing, what's wrong with you? Seeing that brother Wu Crossing kept staring at her thighs, Xiao Wu's face as white as porcelain was stained with a layer of pink. Xiao Wu, your legs are so beautiful, Wu Crossing said with emotion. to say that he has seen many beautiful legs, like Ruoxi, Yanzi, Lingling, and Rangrong, and even played with them, but Xiao Wu's legs gave him an explosive impact. Maybe it was because the opponent often used legs to attack the enemy. Compared with the slender and streamlined slenderness of those women, the overall look is more fleshy and fuller. Brother Wu crossing, what are you talking about? Xiao Wu felt even more embarrassed when she heard it. Brother Wu crossing is really, how can you talk about a girl's legs so directly? Xiao Wu thought so, but she didn't know why she liked it very much. I'm telling the truth. Looking at Xiao Wu, who was shyly lowering her head, Wu crossing smiled and said, I can't help but want to touch it. Although Xiao Wu was not wearing stockings, it was hard to resist the charm it exuded. If she wore the grey liquid stockings 5 years later, it would be more attractive. After being said by Wu crossing, Xiao Wu's face became even redder, and she whispered, Brother Wu crossing, if you like it, then Xiao Wu will let you touch it. Hearing Xiao Wu's answer, Wu crossing's eyes lit up. He knew that, if the other party could say this, she had completely regarded him as her man. How could Wu crossing let it go? His fingers slid uncontrollably on Xiao Wu's round long legs. Although they were wrapped in socks, touching them was extremely smooth and extremely enjoyable. Unconsciously, Wu crossing began to imagine. This leg is used to attack the opponent, which is really rewarding others. Thinking of the scene in the anime where Xiao Wu used her legs to clamp various passers-by, Wu crossing felt unhappy. He would never let her use her legs like that again, and she had to use them on herself. Xiao Wu's pretty face flushed with itchiness from Wu crossing's hands, and she felt an electric shock all over her body, and the numbness almost made her unable to hold back a sound. In addition to the numbness, there was another inexplicable sense of comfort sweeping from her lower abdomen. But she still gritted her teeth to prevent herself from showing any abnormality, because she saw that Brother Wu crossing seemed to be enjoying it, so she couldn't bear to interrupt. Fortunately, the time of forcing herself to hold back did not last too long, and Wu crossing's words came. Xiao Wu, promise your brother one thing. Wu crossing stopped sliding his fingers on Xiao Wu's legs, and looked at Xiao Wu's pretty face. Brother Wu crossing, you say? Xiao Wu was puzzled, not knowing what Brother Wu crossing had to say to her. When you attack the enemy in the future, don't use it to clamp people. Wu crossing pointed at Xiao Wu's beautiful legs and said seriously. Xiao Wu was stunned when she heard this. Her sole skills were to attack by touching the enemy with her legs, and throat locking was one of them. However, seeing that Brother Wu crossing was serious, she was still curious and asked, Brother Wu crossing, can you let Xiao Wu know why? No reason. You are right to listen to your brother. You can kick people, but you can't clamp them. Wu crossing's tone was a little unacceptable, and a little overbearing. Of course, he couldn't say out his dirty thoughts, that he could only clamp himself. Such beautiful legs, such fleshy legs, only he can use them, no one else can. Chapter 118 Audience. Okay, Brother Wu crossing. Although she didn't understand why Brother Wu crossing asked her not to use her legs to clamp people, Xiao Wu still agreed. She trusted Wu crossing, and knew that Brother Wu crossing must have a reason for saying that, and would not harm her. But she didn't know that Wu crossing wanted to occupy her alone for his own selfish interests. Of course, even if she knew Wu crossing's dirty thoughts, Xiao Wu would not be angry about it now. She would only think it was not serious. Seeing Xiao Wu agreed, Wu crossing was very satisfied. He tilted his head and lay down directly. However, he did not lie on the grass, but directly rested his head on Xiao Wu's thighs. Seeing Brother Wu crossing lying on her thighs, Xiao Wu's face flashed a trace of shame. Xiao Wu. After lying quietly for a while, Wu crossing suddenly said, HMM. Xiao Wu lowered her head. Without asking Vice Dean Liu Erlong, he climbed up the mountain without permission. As the pleasant voice sounded, Ling Yuan felt that her body began to change a little, and her charming face also showed a touch of blush. Cursing in her heart, Ling Yuan's eyes could not help but drift to the two people in the distance, watching them intently. Men. Things that men and women should do. Although Xiao Wu was a little ignorant about the relationship between men and women, she was not completely ignorant, and she knew a little bit. That was why she was extremely nervous. In an instant, Wu crossing turned into a wolf and pressed down. I really want to stuff those underwear into this little bastard's mouth and let you torture me. Although she didn't mind telling Wu Crossing about herself, it was only the third time she met brother Wu Crossing. A figure appeared there. The most dazzling thing about this figure was that he was wearing a glittering green hat on his head. Then please brother Wu Crossing pity Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu said shyly, and then she lay on the grass, and her eyes closed shyly. The answer is of course no. Swallowing her throat, Xiao Wu whispered, Wu. Brother Wu Crossing, are we going too fast like this? In the wild? What's going on? Why is the hat brighter? Seeing the green light on the hat on his head, Tang San's expression changed, and he was very confused. Here, although he hasn't eaten the little witch yet, their relationship has gone further than eating her. The reason why he appeared here is entirely because he found Yu Xiao Gang, but the teacher has no way to take off the green hat on his head. Wu Crossing couldn't help but be stunned when he heard it. Xiao Wu is his woman. How come he doesn't know? When did it happen? When did he agree to it? As the other party's protector, Ling Yuan felt that her mission was too difficult. What's more, this time when he came to Shrek Academy, he was thinking about having something happen with the other party. What? Xiao Wu asked subconsciously, but just after asking, she saw Wu Crossing's malicious smile and immediately understood something. Her heartbeat suddenly accelerated, and she didn't dare to look at the other party. Not fast. Wu Crossing took advantage of the hot iron. Compared with Ning Rangrong, the third meeting was already slow. But if Xiao Wu misunderstood, then let her misunderstand. Slowly getting up from her thigh, Wu Crossing's face showed a cunning look, and he said, Xiao Wu, since you are my girlfriend, can we do something? Looking at Xiao Wu lying down, with a look of being ready to be picked, Wu Crossing was shocked. This little bastard, is he horny? At the same time, on a tree not far away, a mature and charming woman couldn't help but curse inwardly when she saw this scene. Will you be my girlfriend? Wu Crossing grabbed Xiao Wu's small and delicate hand and put it on his face. It was like that in the big fighting arena, and it was like that last night. Today, it was the same with a little girl. Wu Crossing smiled and couldn't help teasing. Of course it's what boyfriends and girlfriends should do. He couldn't let Xiao Wu fall into the clutches of that guy, let alone let Xiao Wu be taken advantage of by him. Wu Crossing didn't know that there were live audiences watching his actual combat exercise, and he was fighting hard. After hearing Xiao Wu's explanation, Wu Crossing was amused by her simple idea. Who stipulated that kissing is for lovers? Is it so exciting? She really couldn't figure it out. Isn't it said that men are done in 3 minutes? Why is it different for this little bastard? In this case, the other party is ready. Can he refuse? Can he refuse? And today is even more excessive. They fought directly in the wild, torturing her, a woman who is almost 60 years old and has never been in love. In these days, she has seen this guy with lust more than a few times. After a long period of questioning, a student saw Xiao Wu following the bastard to the back mountain. After learning about it, he rushed over without stopping. So he had to ask Xiao Wu where she bought the hat and why she had such a weird ability. But a strange thing happened. As he approached the top of the mountain, the green hat on his head glowed brighter and brighter until it glowed brightly. After fighting for more than an hour, he didn't look tired, which made Wu Crossing want to conquer. After being stunned for a while, a bad idea filled his mind. Before he could do it, Tang San's pace accelerated a lot and rushed to the top of the mountain quickly, but when he reached the top of the mountain, he was furious. This little man, he is not as good at plowing as a cow. Ling Yuan, who had injured for more than an hour before it ended, cursed inwardly. Seeing Wu Crossing's confused look, Xiao Wu explained in a low voice, Brother Wu Crossing, you forgot me. We kissed. Isn't it only lovers who can kiss? Although Xiao Wu looked like she was only 14 or 15 years old, this was her age after she transformed, and Wu Crossing had no pressure at all. As they approached the top of the mountain behind, the green light became brighter and brighter, and the surroundings were full of greenery during the day. It's over. I have to change my underwear again. Ling Yuan cursed and wanted to stand up from the tree trunk, and then her brows frowned. Just after changing her underwear, Ling Yuan let out a breath, but after a while her brows frowned again, and her eyes looked up the mountain. Even if you want to play a 2-player game, you have to go into the room. Don't you know how much trauma you have caused me? Xiao Wu is indeed a soul beast. Her body is great, and her flexibility is unmatched by other women. Oh, by the way, Xiao Wu is a soul beast. I'm afraid she doesn't have that concept in her mind. That's okay. Squeezing her legs together, Ling Yuan was a little annoyed. She found that she was wet without realizing it. Field battle? Hearing Wood Crossing's confession, Xiao Wu blushed and said softly, "Isn't Xiao Wu already your woman, brother Wood Crossing?" Chapter 119 Crazy Tang-san. Xiao Wu, put on your clothes quickly, someone is coming. Tang-san heard a familiar and hurried voice just after he reached the top of the mountain. It was the enemy Wood Crossing whom he would never forget. Hearing the content clearly, it was like a thunderbolt from the blue sky, buzzing in his mind. Xiao Wu, put on clothes? How is it possible? Tang-san couldn't believe what he heard. Xiao Wu had always been so pure and innocent in his eyes. He didn't want to believe that Xiao Wu was such a casual girl. Just thinking of what happened in the Great Fighting Spirit Arena yesterday, he was a little unconfident. In order to verify whether it was as he imagined, he was about to rush over, but found that there was an invisible air wall blocking him from moving forward. But he heard Xiao Wu's exclamation and the sound of her putting on clothes in a hurry. Until the air wall dissipated, the moment he rushed out of the bushes, he exploded directly. Sure enough, he saw a scene that made his eyes split. Xiao Wu was nervously buttoning her buttons, and Wood Crossing was still naked from the waist up, and only wearing shorts from the waist down. Impossible, how come I don't know you're from the Clear Sky sect? Tang-san said in disbelief. The other party's affairs were too strange. First of all, a mere soul master had 3 10,000-year soul rings, and he also had the same twin martial spirits as himself, which was very problematic in itself. Wood Crossing, I'm going to kill you. In addition, the most important point is that I have nothing to do with you. You have no right to control who I like. Tang-san's face was ferocious, and his whole face was distorted with overwhelming hostility. Die for me, die. Tang-san fell heavily to the ground, his face full of fear and disbelief. How could the other party be so strong? Is it strange that I have the Clear Sky Hammer? You don't really think you're the only one with twin martial spirits, do you? Wood Crossing calmed down and said with a very playful expression. Looking at Tang-san who bypassed her and smashed towards Wood Crossing's brother, Xiao Wu's face changed drastically. She never expected that the other party would be so angry. The powerful recoil force made Tang-san's body retreat several steps, but what shocked him the most was the Clear Sky Hammer in the other party's hand. And wrong. She has been through thick and thin with us, and you want to attack her just because she doesn't agree with you. Is this what you call friendship? Seeing Tang-san who didn't stop at all, Xiao Wu didn't have time to change her expression. She instinctively swung her long scorpion tail braid and tightly wrapped it around Tang-san's neck. Then, she suddenly exerted force and Tang-san was thrown out directly. Xiao Wu looked at Tang-san coldly and said expressionlessly, "Why? Tang-san, you are really hypocritical. You don't look for your own problems, but you can still ask such ridiculous questions. How is it possible? You asked Xiao Wu to bring it to me." Tang-san was furious when he heard it. In such a scene, even if he didn't hear what he said just now, he knew what happened before. Xiao Wu's words were like pieces of sharp blades piercing Tang-san's chest, especially the sentence that "I'm already Wood Crossing's brother's woman" made him completely crazy. He couldn't understand that the other party had only known Xiao Wu for less than 2 months, and he had known her for several years, but in these years, the result was such a result. How could he accept it? Not only did Xiao Wu cheat on him, but Xiao Wu also cheated on him. This endless humiliation and the feeling of having his dignity trampled on made Tang-san roar towards Wood Crossing again. The two hammers collided, and a deafening sound suddenly sounded. A shockwave visible to the naked eye appeared at the center. But how could Tang-san listen to Xiao Wu now? His beloved girl had already become the shape of the other party. How could he stay rational? Tang-san, who was thrown out, glared at Xiao Wu and kept roaring like a mad beast. So he attacked without reservation and with all his strength. Ghost Shadow Trace bypassed Xiao Wu directly and arrived at Wood Crossing's front in an instant. He raised the clear sky hammer and smashed it hard. It's you. It's all you. Wood Crossing. You will die here today. Tang San roared. His soul power surged, and the soul ring slowly rose from his feet. The 8 spider lance and the clear sky hammer were also sacrificed at the same time. Isn't his martial soul the blue silver grass? How can there be a clear sky hammer? Seeing Tang San rushing over, Wood Crossing looked at him with disdain, stretched out his foot, and kicked him out. Boom. The shock wave brought up a gust of air wherever it passed, and the wind was strong and the whistling was endless. The killing intent, the crazy killing intent made Tang San completely go berserk, and he didn't care that this was the forbidden area of the academy, and he didn't care what kind of punishment would be given if Wood Crossing was killed here. The anger had made him lose his mind, and rushed straight over. After being exposed and slapped in the face, "You want to kill brother Wood Crossing?" Wood Crossing raised the corner of his mouth and smiled again. "Of course. Otherwise why would I take the trouble to let Xiao Wu put it on you personally?" But it was too late to stop him, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Brother Wood Crossing, be careful. Wood Crossing, I will make you live a life worse than death." Tang San, who got the confirmation, went berserk again. "This green hat fits you well. It suits your identity as a green hat slave. How does it feel to be green hatted?" Wood Crossing said with a smile. "You're playing the game back and throwing dirty water on brother Wood Crossing. Have you ever thought about how disgusting it is?" "Tang San, what are you going to do?" Seeing Tang San rushing over frantically, Xiao Wu was shocked by his devilish appearance and quickly scolded him. He should have thought of it earlier. How could a girl as innocent as Xiao Wu put a hat on him? It turned out that everything was done by the other party. Wood Crossing, who had just pulled up his pants, looked up and saw Tang San holding the clear sky hammer and smashing it at him. He didn't think much and mobilized his soul power. A martial spirit that was also a hammer appeared in his hand. "How do you have the clear sky hammer?" Tang San's eyes were full of bloodshot, revealing a face full of disbelief. Why do you treat me like this? Who said that having the clear sky hammer is exclusive to the clear sky sect? Wood Crossing sneered, and then continued, "And don't look at others with your own narrow-mindedness. There are many things in this world that you don't know, such as the green hat on your head." Unprecedented anger and betrayal filled Tang San's body. "What do you mean?" Tang San's heart skipped a beat when he heard that, and a bad premonition came over him. "Yes, I asked Xiao Wu to bring it to you. Are you satisfied?" Wood Crossing grinned. You know the meaning of cuckold," Tang San said in horror. Xiao Wu, the Xiao Wu who always loved herself in front of him, actually slept with the man he hated the most, and in the wild. He knew that if Xiao Wu wanted to become dependent on him again, she had to kill the other person. "Now, as you can see, I'm already brother Wood Crossing's woman. Please don't harass me again in the future." Chapter 120, The Hidden Weapon That Crushed Tang San. He had no time to react just now, and was kicked away by Wood Crossing. Is such a speed really something that a soul master can achieve? Even a soul king with agility attack system who excels in speed probably can't achieve it. In just a moment, Tang San slowly stood up. His eyes focused, and a purple light emerged from his pupils. "Wood Crossing, you are very strong, but that's all. Under my purple demon eye, everything is an illusion." Tang San rushed towards Wood Crossing again with a face full of confidence. At the same time, his hands began to change, like jade, which was the Tang sect's Zuanayu hand. "To die under my Zuanayu hand, it's also considered." Before Tang San finished speaking, he felt a flash in front of his eyes, and then he felt a huge impact on his chest again. The whole person turned into a cannonball and flew out, still staring when he flew out. Bang! Tang San was kicked dozens of meters away, and his body tilted and retreated dozens of steps, before he could barely stand firm. He suppressed the sweet taste in his throat, lowered his head, and looked at the footprints on his chest, with an incredible look on his face. His purple gold magic pupil actually didn't see the other party's actions? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. There must be something wrong. His purple extreme magic pupil is the supreme pupil technique of the Tang sect. How could he not see through the other party's actions? "This is the Tang sect secret book you mentioned. It's not that good." Wood Crossing yawned, looking uninterested. Originally, I thought the other party would be able to give more strength, but I didn't expect that he couldn't even defend, and suddenly felt bored. Being despised by Wu Crossing, Tang San's throat surged again, his eyes began to narrow, and his breath became very dangerous. Since you want to die so much, I will fulfill your wish. After speaking, his soul guide emitted a ray of light, and a round long instrument appeared in Zhuan Yu's hand. Originally, he thought he couldn't use the Tang sect's hidden weapon, but the opponent's strength was beyond his imagination. Wu Crossing, I'll show you what a real killing weapon is. The strongest single weapon, the rain of pear blossom needles. With a roar, the cylindrical device in Tang San's hand, with a click, spread out like an umbrella, and countless silver needles flew out of it, hitting Wu Crossing's face in an instant. Not good. Ling Yuan, who was hiding in the book, watched this strange weapon bloom. Her pupils shrank. She could feel the great fear brought by this weapon. Without thinking too much, the figure flashed, and immediately appeared in front of Wu Crossing. Ling Yuan could sense it, and Zhao Wu was even more frightened. This was a Tang sect hidden weapon that could hurt a god. Brother Wu Crossing was only a soul master now. How could he resist it? Although Brother Wu Crossing had said before that he was not afraid of Tang sect hidden weapons, Zhao Wu still teleported to Wu Crossing's side, trying to use her body to help the other party reduce the impact of the silver needles. 8th soul skill, boiling blood. Ling Yuan flashed in front of Wu Crossing, releasing a terrifying soul power, and the air around him seemed to burn. The nearby flowers, plants, and trees burned even more, and soon turned into ashes. However, despite the amazingly high temperature of the flame, she did not expect that the countless silver needles flying towards her would only turn red, but would not melt into liquid. This made her face change greatly. What kind of terrible Tang sect hidden weapon could actually withstand the flames from the titled Douluo? Looking at the woman who suddenly appeared, Tang San was stunned at first, but soon his face was full of disdain. He had suffered a loss in Douluo Mansion before, so he specially forged Tang sect hidden weapons to target masters. Even if he could not kill those strong men, he could buy himself a chance to escape. The torrential pear blossom needle was forged by him for nearly 2 months, and there was only one in the world. Blood would be drawn when he made it, and he could imagine the result of Wu Crossing's heart being pierced by thousands of needles. Even if the woman in front of him did not dodge, she would also face the same ending. Haha, Tang sect hidden weapons, things that are not worthy of being put on the table. Only hypocritical guys like you would use them as a trump card. Wu Crossing sneered, and a sword appeared in his hand without knowing when. Shushu sword technique, paper falling clouds and mists. With a light exhalation, the sword in Wu Crossing's hand turned into countless sword ki, slashing at thousands of silver needles. That's right, Wu Crossing was not using a soul skill, but a martial arts technique from the martial arts world, or the Shushu sword technique of the Snow Moon Sword Fairy Li Hanai, which was a diary reward secret book obtained before. The advantage of this diary secret book is that you can fully comprehend it and reach the highest level as long as you click to learn. What? When Wu Crossing raised the long sword in his hand and shouted the Shushu sword technique, Tang San's eyes widened. As the sword ki shot out, he was completely stunned. He could see that the sword in Wu Crossing's hand was indeed a martial soul, but he was not using a soul skill. Instead, it seemed to come from a martial arts secret book he had heard of in his previous life. How could the other party have a martial arts secret book? Tang San doubted his life, and doubted it completely. Is there more than just martial souls in the Douluo world? Wherever the sword energy passed, the silver needles were all vaporized. The thousands of silver needles disappeared without a trace in an instant. Tang San, who was watching this scene, couldn't accept it. His mentality collapsed, and he was full of panic and fear. You are not a native of the Douluo world. Tang San pointed at Wu Crossing and said tremblingly. Thinking of the green hat, and seeing the water-stopping sword technique used by the other party, Tang San finally reacted. The guy in front of him was definitely not a native of the Douluo world, but a different or human who had traveled through time like himself. Otherwise, how could the other party know the meaning of the green hat? Otherwise, how could the other party use the martial arts secrets of his previous life? And he seemed to have heard of the water-stopping sword technique. The top sword technique circulated in the martial arts world was one level higher than the various skills of the Tang sect secrets. so he began to panic. He used all his trump cards, but was easily blocked by the other party. What will greet him next? He knew everything just by thinking about it. You're not stupid. Wood Crossing grinned. The sword in his hand disappeared, and he flashed in front of Tang San. Looking at Wood Crossing flashing in front of him, Tang San's pupils shrank slightly again. Before he could react, Wood Crossing had already attacked, and the power of his punch was like thunder. Now it's my turn. Bang! The fist hit Tang San's chest, directly smashing his chest into pieces. The huge impact drew a miserable arc in the air, and fell heavily to the ground like a rag, splashing a cloud of dust. When the dust settled, Tang San lay motionless in the mud pit. The red blood on his chest stained the tattered clothes covered with mud, mixed into bloody mud. His eyes were blank, and he was in a mess. From the time the opponent used the rain of pear blossom needles to the time he suffered a serious injury, it was only a minute. After Ling Yuan and Xiao Wu reacted, they both looked at Wood Crossing in shock. Chapter 121 Xiao Wu's Ignorance. The swordplay just now overturned their understanding of soul skills. Although the condensed sword energy looked ordinary, and not as exaggerated as Ling Yuan's 8th soul skill, the soul power compressed to the extreme made people tremble. Could this be the different cultivation system in other worlds mentioned in the other party's diary? It was indeed so terrifying. No wonder the Tang sect's hidden weapons, even if they could hurt gods, were not something that could be put on the table in other worlds. A soul master with a soul power of level 38 can compress the soul power into a power comparable to that of a soul saint. Looking at the entire continent, it is unheard of and unseen. If you reach the level of titled Douluo, and then compress it with the soul power of titled Douluo, can you easily kill gods in seconds? Ling Yuan looked at Wood Crossing with a hot look, wondering if he could learn the skills of another world. If he could learn this method, wouldn't he be more powerful than a second level god? Why are you looking at me like that? Seeing the shocked eyes of Ling Yuan and Xiao Wu, Wood Crossing touched his nose. Little bastard. Little guy, can I learn the water stopping sword technique you just used? Ling Yuan's eyes sparkled, and her face showed an expectant expression. There was no way the sword technique displayed by this little bastard in front of her, even she, a titled Douluo, was greedy. Before, it was only mentioned in the diary, and it didn't have such a big impact. After all, it was a technique from another world, and she hadn't seen it with her own eyes. Now that it really appeared in front of her, she knew how tempting it was. Wood Crossing's mouth twitched. He naturally heard that Ling Yuan wanted to call him a little bastard, but in order to learn the water stopping sword technique, she changed her words to little guy. Sorry, you can't learn it. Wood Crossing rolled his eyelids and said unhappily. Why? Ling Yuan was stunned, then licked her lips and tempted. If you teach me this technique from another world, I can meet any of your conditions, including what you did with this little girl just now. Wood Crossing. Xiao Wu. Hearing Ling Yuan's words, Xiao Wu, who was still in shock, instantly turned red. What happened between her and brother Wood Crossing was actually seen by outsiders. Just thinking about it makes her feel ashamed. Wood Crossing's forehead darkened and he said, were you watching the fight just now? HMM. Ling Yuan nodded with a smile. She was watching the whole process as a spectator. For this reason, she changed several pairs of underwear. Fuck. Wood Crossing was upset when he heard it and said angrily, even if you are my protector, you can't invade my privacy. How dare you say that? If you weren't so impatient, yesterday in the big fighting spirit arena, today in the wild, how could your sister violate your privacy? Ling Yuan rolled her eyes, thinking that she wanted to see it, but you, a bastard, ignored the scene and had a lot of sex in your mind. If you were in the room, no matter how horny and thirsty I was, I wouldn't even look at you. Wood Crossing was choked by Ling Yuan's words again. It turned out that this woman also knew about Ningrangrang's flute in the big fighting spirit arena yesterday. As expected of a tough guy who destroyed most of the Seven Treasures glazed sect, as soon as he appeared, this woman is not a good person. Of course, he was quite tempted by Ling Yuan. Being able to ride a title Douluo under him, that sense of accomplishment is not something that can be compared with simple love. Unfortunately, Wood Crossing shook his head helplessly in the end. Although I really want to agree to you, you really can't learn it. There are many problems involved. You can only do it when the diary is open to a higher level and can connect to the Zhangman world. Wu Crossing's words were not false. Even if he told her the mental method, she couldn't learn it because her body density did not meet the requirements. Even if she learned it, it would only be equivalent to the soul skills, unless she could increase her body density. Is that so? Ling Yuan was a little disappointed, but she also knew that different worlds had different cultivation systems, so she didn't force it. Anyway, there is the opportunity of the diary copy. As the level increases, there will always be a chance to learn it, so there is no need to rush. Without discussing this topic, Wu Crossing slowly walked in front of Tang San, looking at the other party who was in a state of embarrassment, with his chest collapsed and bloody, and blood oozing from the corners of his mouth. He smiled playfully. Tang San, how do you feel? Wu Crossing, you will die. Although Tang San had several broken ribs, he still covered his chest and glared at Wu Crossing. At this time, after the extreme despair in his heart, he was greeted by madness. His soul power was not as good as the opponent's, and his martial soul had no advantage. Even the proud Tang sect's skills could not get any good in front of the opponent, and even the most relied on Tang sect's hidden weapons were easily resolved by the opponent. Such a blow was not a big one for him. However, the biggest blow was not these, but the psychological defense line. Planning Xiao Wu to betray him, and planning Xiao Wu to cheat on him was the heaviest blow to him. He even suspected that coming to the top of the mountain just now, and hearing what the other party said, and seeing Xiao Wu's disheveled scene, was also the other party's strategy. The purpose was to humiliate him severely and deliberately trample on his dignity. TSK. Looking at Tang San's helpless roar, Wu Crossing shook his head and said, you are really a waste, only waste can cry. Wu Crossing, I will fight you. Being severely humiliated as a waste, Tang San roared and wanted to get up, but what greeted him was Wu Crossing's ruthless foot stepping on the other's head. Fight with me? Are you worthy? Wu Crossing stepped on Tang San's head and laughed coldly. If you have the guts to let me go, I will make you die. I want you to die. Tang San's eyes were bloodshot, and a trace of blood flowed from his eye sockets. Being stepped on fiercely, the endless humiliation and the endless feeling of being trampled on made Tang San, who was extremely concerned about his face. How could he accept it? But even though there was endless resentment and anger in his eyes, he couldn't stand up, no matter how hard he struggled. Facing Tang San's roar, Wu Crossing laughed, not caring at all, and slightly exerted force on his feet, so that his whole face sank into the mud. You should think about how to survive. A miserable cry came, and the mud mixed into Tang San's mouth. Feeling the heavy pressure on his head, he panicked at this moment, completely panicked. He hadn't fulfilled his great dream, and hadn't made Xiao Wu his wife. Was he going to die here? Wu Crossing, you can't kill me. This is Shrek Academy. I'm a student of Shrek. If you kill me, you will also be retaliated by the teacher. Tang San shouted in fear. He was afraid that, if the other party exerted force, his head would be crushed. So what? Wu Crossing said disdainfully. Xiao Wu, save me, save me. Hearing Wu Crossing's answer, Tang San knew that this guy was determined to kill him, and hurriedly shouted at Xiao Wu. But no matter how he shouted, Xiao Wu just watched coldly, with a cold expression on her face. This disgusting Tang San actually had the nerve to ask for mercy from him. Did you ever listen to what he said just now? Did you ever take me seriously when he showed up just now? Now he shamelessly asks me for help, which is ridiculous. Most importantly, did you ever think of letting Brother Wu Crossing go before you took action? If Brother Wu Crossing was not so powerful, if he could not use the skills, I'm afraid that Brother Wu Crossing would have been pierced by thousands of needles now. So Xiao Wu ignored Tang San's pleas and his shouts. At most, after you die, I will burn some toilet paper for you to repay the kindness of my former teammates. Chapter 122 Wu Crossing wants it all. Let's see who dares to kill my son. Just when Wu Crossing was about to get rid of Tang San, a heavy voice sounded, and then the ground shook violently, the broken soil floated up, and the air seemed to be sticky instantly. A violent breath suddenly flew from a distance. It was a black-robed figure, approaching here quickly with a killing breath that destroyed the world. Wherever he passed, the trees were in an uproar. Sure enough, he came out again. Hearing this voice, Wu Crossing's pupils condensed slightly. Even if Tang San was wearing a hat with special attributes, without the so-called protagonist halo and the so-called luck blessing, it would not be so easy to kill the other party. Behind him, there is still Tang Heo, the titled Douluo, protecting him. As long as she has the intention to kill, the other party will show up. When Ling Yuan heard this voice, her face suddenly changed. She almost forgot that there was Heoshan Douluo behind Tang San. Last time, she was seriously injured because she was about to attack Tang San, and she almost got a box lunch. Now Tang San has become like a lost dog, and Wu Crossing has tortured him like this. The other party might be furious and attack the little man. Ling Yuan felt as if she was facing a great enemy. The aura of her whole body suddenly surged. At the same time, she did not forget to say anxiously, "Little man, take your girlfriend away from here quickly. Sister will resist for you for a while." Although Wu Crossing was very powerful and his water-stopping swordsmanship was unparalleled, he was still far behind the titled Douluo, and was definitely not the opponent of the newcomer. Moreover, the other party was not an ordinary titled Douluo. Even if she had eaten the fairy grass, she dared not say how long she could delay. Xiao Wu heard the words, and her face changed. As a soul beast, she could also feel the pressure, which made her body tremble. This terrible energy is several times more terrible than damning and erming. Brother Wu Crossing, let's go. Xiao Wu was also anxious to speak. She had read the copy of the diary, and knew what kind of existence was behind Tang San. If the other party saw the miserable state of her son, how could he let brother Wu Crossing go? But Wu Crossing was unmoved. His eyes were fixed on Tang Heo, who appeared in front of him in the blink of an eye. Xiao-san. Tang Heo came closer, looked at his son lying on the ground, and being stepped on, and was furious. Infinite anger burst out, and Wu Crossing was pushed back several steps in an instant. Wu Crossing was a little surprised that he could be blown away by his breath alone. He was worthy of being a titled Douluo. His current strength was still incomparable. "You dare to hurt my son?" Tang Heo stared at Wu Crossing intently, and a huge clear sky hammer with a red glow and an explosive aura appeared in his hand, pointing directly at the other party. Facing Tang Heo's finger, Wu Crossing held his head high. Even though the strong wind hurt his face, he was still fearless. "Your son wants to kill me, and you won't let me retaliate. Boy, you are very good. You have guts." Seeing that he could still maintain a fearless demeanor under the pressure of his own titled Douluo, Tang Heo was also slightly shocked, but then he said with a gloomy face, "But, if you dare to hurt my son, you must die." Others respect you as Heoshan Douluo. Do you really take yourself seriously? Kill me. Are you worthy? Wu Crossing laughed coldly. Although Tang Heo is strong, he is indeed not as good as him now, but to kill himself? It's a bit unrealistic. Hearing Wu Crossing's arrogant words, Ling Yuan's face changed. "This little bastard, it's fine if you don't run away, but now you are angering the other party. Even if you have a resurrection technique, you can't waste it like this. It takes a year at a time. At your current growth rate, it won't take a few years to step on the other party. Why are you trying to be strong now? Oh, forget it. I'll risk it later. I have to protect this little bastard. It doesn't matter if I die, but he can't. The price is too high." Although Ling Yuan often quarrels with Wu Crossing, she has already regarded him as more important than herself. This is not only because if the little bastard dies, it will cause huge losses to many diary holders. After all, if he dies, they don't know whether they can still write diaries. More importantly, she has actually fallen in love with this little man in her heart, but she can't show it because of the age difference. Haha. Tang Heo laughed when he heard it and looked at Ling Yuan, who was blocking Wu Crossing, and said contemptuously, "Boy, do you really think this woman can protect you? What else?" Wu Crossing raised his eyebrows and said lightly, "Haha, let alone you, she can't escape today." Tang Heo's eyes were fierce. He knew that this woman came from the spirit hall. She was lucky to escape last time, and there was no way he would let her escape again today. Otherwise, the news that he was still in Xiandao City would spread, and more titled Douluo would probably appear. By that time, I'm afraid that his son would be like him, living a life of hiding from place to place. Haha, then it depends on whether you, a man who betrayed his wife, have the ability to do this. Wood Crossing had a playful look on his face, not afraid of the other party's fierce eyes. On the diary panel that Tang Heo could not see, he had slowly turned on the recording function. The reason why he did not choose to leave, the reason why he chose to stay, even if it risked wasting the time of the resurrection spell, was his duty. The purpose was to expose the other party's face, so that Yin could see the other party's face clearly. He was very greedy for Yin, the wife, but it was not so easy to successfully dig into this corner. Without using some desperate strategies, Yin's personality would never betray Tang Heo and commit herself to him. Therefore, for the 3 generations of the Tang family, they can only be cuckolded. Not only does he want Xiao Wu, he also wants Yin, and he won't let Bo Sexy go. He is not a child. Only children make choices. Of course, he wants them all. Anyway, the people in the Tang family are a group of extremely hypocritical guys. These women will not have a good result if they follow them. Only he can give these women a warm embrace and a warm home. What did you say? Tang Heo roared, but his heart skipped a beat. Betray his wife? How did he know? Why, did I say something wrong? Wood Crossing smiled, and then slowly said, you deliberately leaked Yin's identity as a 100,000-year soul beast and let the former pope of the spirit hall hunt her down. You don't think no one knows it? In order to obtain a 100,000-year soul ring, you actually betrayed your wife. You are so vicious. In order to leave a deep affectionate persona in the eyes of outsiders, for her to pass on your family line. Aren't you tired of acting? What nonsense are you talking about? Nonsense. Tang Heo was shocked, and his face became distorted. How could his most secret things be known by a young boy? You know whether I'm talking nonsense or not, and I already have the evidence. Wood Crossing said something that made Tang Heo explode. Is anyone else watching? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 123. I can even lead a dog to fly. What? Hearing Wood Crossing say that he had the evidence, Tang Heo's pupils condensed, and a monstrous murderous intent instantly erupted, but he quickly retracted this murderous intent. No, he did it so secretly at the beginning, it was impossible for anyone to know. The other party must be blackmailing him. Just when Tang Heo thought Wood Crossing was blackmailing him, the next words made him completely shaken. Xiao Wu, do you know why you met Tang San when you came out of the Stardao Great Forest? Wood Crossing looked at Xiao Wu and said lightly. Xiao Wu was shocked by the information that had just been revealed, and suddenly Brother Wood Crossing put the question on herself. She subconsciously asked, why? Because, from the moment you stepped out of the Stardao Great Forest, you have been under Tang Heo's surveillance from beginning to end. Wood Crossing looked at Tang Heo, who was beginning to become uneasy, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised, and said slowly, originally, his original intention was to imprison you, and when his son Tang San needed you, he would kill you, and give him your spirit ring and spirit bone. But considering the nature of spirit beasts that would rather self-destruct than become spirit rings, this risk factor and multiple uncontrollable factors, he gave up this plan. Instead, he guided you to Notting College, and met Tang San, wanting you to fall in love with his son like Yin, and then wait until the time is right, and then put himself in danger and let you sacrifice voluntarily, so that it can be foolproof. Am I right, Heo Shandao? When he said the last sentence, Wood Crossing looked at Tang Heo in the distance with amusement. After hearing Wood Crossing's explanation, Xiao Wu's body trembled, and she was frightened by Tang Heo's scheme. Such vicious means and such cruel methods overturned the cognition of soul beasts. She had never thought that some humans had such terrible conspiracies and tricks, which were thousands of times more terrible than directly slaughtering soul beasts. Her mother had advised her not to go to the human world, since she was a child, and some humans were very bad, but every time she asked out of curiosity, her mother was unwilling to say more. It turned out that some humans could be so cruel that they use the innocence and feelings of soul beasts as tools to obtain soul rings and soul bones. She couldn't imagine what the final outcome would be if she hadn't met Brother Wood Crossing. No wonder after she came to the human world, she was able to enter Notting College as a work-study student and was assigned to Tang San's dormitory by chance. All of this was not accidental, nor was it good luck, but a conspiracy from Tang San's father. The father and son of the Tang family are more hypocritical and vicious than each other. They can do such a thing. Aren't they afraid of retribution? Listening to Wood Crossing's plan one by one, Tang Heo's face became very ugly. He didn't expect that this young boy really knew his most secret things. This boy must not be kept. Thinking of this, Tang Heo roared, "Boy, you must die today." After roaring, the soul power in his body surged, and the clear sky hammer in his hand also appeared red lightning, with endless killing intent. I pointed it out, and you can't help but want to take action? I really feel sad for Ah Yin, falling in love with a rotten person like you. Looking at Tang Heo, who did not hide his murderous intentions, Wood Crossing provoked the other party again. "It's okay, but you all have to die here today, and no one will know." Tang Heo smiled wildly, and a fierce light flashed. "Haha, I've been waiting for you to say this." The old fox finally showed his tail. Hearing Tang Heo's answer, Wood Crossing also laughed. With this video, he didn't believe that Ah Yin would continue to like him. It's worthy of his life to let the other party show his true face. Wood Crossing's laughter made Tang Heo stunned. He had an ominous premonition, but he couldn't tell. In order to avoid more trouble, he came to his senses in an instant, raised the clear sky hammer in his hand, and threw it towards Wood Crossing. "Wood Crossing, get out of the way." Looking at the clear sky hammer that was shooting at him with the aura of destroying the world, Ling Yuan's pupils changed, and his soul power was used to the extreme. At the same time, the 7th soul ring under his feet also flashed and lit up. 7th soul skill, martial soul true body. You want to stop my clear sky hammer with your martial soul true body. Looking at Ling Yuan, who used the martial soul true body, Tang Heo snorted coldly. 9 treasures turn into glazed glass. 1 is power, 2 is speed, 3 is soul. However, something he didn't expect happened. At this moment, Wood Crossing's martial soul of the 9 treasure glazed tower lit up. 7 treasure glazed sect. No, 9 treasure glazed tower. Looking at the martial soul that lit up on Wood Crossing's body, Tang Heo was almost blinded. Even Tang San, who had struggled to get up from the ground, was dumbfounded when he saw Wood Crossing use the same martial soul as Ning Rangrang. This guy actually has 3 martial souls. Not to mention the Tang family father and son were confused. Ling Yuan was also a little confused. Although Wood Crossing told his woman that he had all martial souls, it did not include her. At that time, she was still reporting to Bibi Dang in the Wuhan Hall. So when Wood Crossing used the 9 treasure glazed tower, she was very shocked, but then she was happy. With the help of the 9 treasure glazed tower, her strength, speed, and soul power were greatly improved. After taking the immortal grass, her strength had greatly improved. Although she was still not Tang Heo's opponent, she was not as weak as before. Now with the soul skill bonus of the 9 treasures glazed tower, she was more confident about the flying clear sky hammer. An invisible gas barrier appeared in front of her, and with the surge of various attributes, it successfully blocked the clear sky hammer in front of her. Boom. A deafening sound rushed straight into the sky, and the powerful airflow rushed in all directions, causing the huge trees around to shake continuously, and the leaves were flying all over the sky, but the clear sky hammer did not move forward an inch. Seeing this scene, Tang Heo's heart skipped a beat. Whether it was Wood Crossing's martial spirit or the female title Douluo in front of him, it seemed that they were not so easily defeated before. Despite this, he also had strong self-confidence. He stretched out his hand and the clear sky hammer returned to his hand. "Boy, that's pretty good, but if you want to compete with me with just this, it's far from enough." Tang Heo roared, and the clear sky hammer in his hand grew bigger unconsciously, turning into a small mountain. Red lines emerged from the huge clear sky hammer, and the 100,000-year-old soul ring on his body suddenly lit up, and the giant hammer had completely turned red. "Everyone can talk big. Your son just said the same thing, but I don't need to say how miserable it was in the end." Wood Crossing snorted disdainfully. Tang Heo is strong, and he ranks among the titled Douluo, but with his heaven-defying martial spirit, he can focus on assisting, and he can lead a dog to fly, let alone challenge a high level, not to mention that Ling Yuan is also a titled Douluo. Ling Yuan. Boy, you can only talk big. Tang Heo said contemptuously, but before he finished shouting, his pupils dilated, and the expression on his face looked like he had seen a ghost. In front of Wood Crossing, martial spirit emitting different lights appeared one after another. Chapter 124 Designated Resurrection of Erao. 2024-02-26 Author, fanfiction writer. Chapter 124 Designated Resurrection. Erao. Third soul skill, power enhancement. Third soul skill, light body technique. Third soul skill, attribute enhancement. Third soul skill, perfect him. Third soul skill. As the martial souls lit up one by one, Wood Crossing's third soul ring never stopped blooming. Various game states, as if they were free, all smashed into Ling Yuan's body, making her whole body appear colorful. It was as if she had bought a new skin for her game hero in her previous life, which was so dazzling. At this moment, Tangsen was stupid, Tang Heo was confused, Ling Yuan was stunned, and even Xiao Wu opened her mouth wide, looking at her brother Wood Crossing with an unbelievable look. One martial soul after another, one soul skill after another, all impacted the vision of several people. And when he reacted, Tang Heo's heart was extremely gloomy. This kid must be killed no matter what, otherwise it will definitely be a huge hidden danger in the future. He had never heard of anyone who could possess so many martial souls and use so many soul skills. If the opponent was allowed to fully grow up, he would be an unprecedented enemy to him. After using soul skills for a long time, Wood Crossing's martial soul never lit up again. It was not because he had no auxiliary martial souls, but because his soul power was completely consumed and could no longer be used. However, seeing Ling Yuan's state, Wood Crossing was still very satisfied. If the strength was not enough, the skin would make up for it. The suppression from the skin was no joke. The current bonus was at least several times more than before. Boy, I have to say that you are terrible. You can actually use so many martial souls, but in the face of absolute strength, everything you do is in vain. Tang Heo laughed wildly. He was a little glad that he discovered the opponent's ability today. If it were a few years later, he might not have the chance to kill the opponent. As soon as he changed his mind, Tang Heo's right hand moved. The supergiant hammer that was 100 meters long in the air suddenly fell and smashed towards Wood Crossing. In an instant, the air around them became distorted, and the endless pressure made it difficult for Wood Crossing and Xiao Wu to move. Tang Heo, you're looking for death. Ling Yuan shouted angrily, and her whole body turned into a ray of light, rushing towards the giant hammer in the air. If the little bastard was hit by a hammer, he would definitely die, so she naturally couldn't let such a thing happen. Boom. Another deafening sound rang out, which was even louder than the previous one. The powerful shockwave was like a ripple, constantly echoing on the top of the mountain, rapidly expanding to the surroundings, and instantly spread throughout the Shrek Academy. Even Xiandao City felt the movement. What happened? What's going on there? It's from the direction of the top of the mountain. Hearing this huge sound and the air pressure coming from it, the students of Shrek Academy ran out of the classroom and looked towards the source of the sound. Then they saw a scene that made them extremely terrified. They saw a huge mushroom cloud appearing at the back mountain of the academy. In a small wooden house at the foot of the mountain, Liu Erlang felt the most deeply and could clearly feel a huge vibration. She immediately hurried out of the wooden house and looked at the horrible scene on the top of the mountain. Without thinking too much, she quickly ran towards the back mountain. At the prince's mansion, Qian Ringsu, who heard the noise, stood up from the study and went to the window to look in that direction. Her beautiful eyes also condensed. She could feel this energy, at least at the level of a titled Douluo. Go and see what happened there. Qian Ringsu said immediately. Yes, young master. A figure suddenly flashed in the study, which was originally empty except for her. After answering, he flew over there. At the Dugu mansion, Dugu Bo, who was lying leisurely, heard the huge noise and quickly stood up from the rocking chair. His eyes shrank slightly, and without thinking too much, he also quickly rushed to the source of the noise. At the same time, Ning Rangrong, who was chatting with her father and grandpa Gutao, looked at the scene on the top of the mountain and her face suddenly changed. Wasn't that the place where Brother Wu Crossing and Xiao Wu had a tryst before? What happened? Why did it make such a big noise? Grandpa Gutao, take me there quickly. Brother Wu Crossing is in danger. Without caring too much, Ning Rangrang hurriedly begged Gutao Douluo. Bone Douluo glanced at Ning Fengzi, a little confused. Ning Fengzi was also a little confused, and countless question marks flashed across his daughter's words about Wu Crossing's brother. But since such a thing happened in the back mountain of Shrek, they had to go and investigate, since they encountered it. With Ning Fengzi's nod, Bone Douluo carried the two of them, and flew towards the top of the mountain. At the moment of the collision, Ling Yuan also felt an unprecedented huge pressure, and her body swayed in the air for a few times. Even with Wu Crossing's countless auxiliary soul skills, it was still a bit overwhelming to face the full strength attack of the world's #1 weapon spirit. Beads of sweat flowed down her charming face, and a trace of blood flowed from the corners of her mouth, because of the strong recoil force. But she still gritted her teeth and persisted, running her soul power at full speed, to maintain the air barrier above. If she couldn't stop it, the little man would be unlucky. So she couldn't fall down anyway, even if it meant risking her life. For the first time, she felt that her strength was insufficient. As Wu Crossing's protector, she was unable to protect him. For her, it was not just a dereliction of duty, but a betrayal of the little man's trust in her. Tang Heo also used all his strength. His face was ferocious, and his arms were full of blue veins. He did not hold back at all in this attack, with the intention of killing. He knew that his attack would definitely attract the attention of many powerful people, and they would even come to investigate. At that time, things would not be under his control, so he had to fight quickly. Ha! Tang Heo shouted angrily, and the soul ring under his feet began to explode. With each explosion, his strength increased by 1 point, and Ling Yuan's body paused slightly. The original air barrier also rang with the sound of broken glass as Tang Heo exploded the ring, and the center spread like a spider web. Not good. Ling Yuan looked at the scene in front of her, and was extremely anxious, but she was powerless. She had used all her strength, but she didn't expect the opponent's attacks to be continuous and powerful. If this continued, the consequences could be imagined. Wu Crossing, run away quickly, use the teleportation card. Her throat surged, and a mouthful of blood spurted out of Ling Yuan's mouth. She said this with all her strength. Under the pressure at this time, Wu Crossing was unable to move with his current level 38 soul power. He could only use the teleportation card to escape from here. Xiao Wu was also unable to move under this pressure. She couldn't even open her mouth. She could only use her eyes to signal Brother Wu Crossing to run away quickly. It doesn't matter if she dies, but Brother Wu Crossing can't die here. Damn it, this explosive ring is so shameless. Looking at Tang Heo's unparalleled power, Wu Crossing cursed in his heart. He really didn't care about his face, and opened a booth for himself. He had already hit Ling Yuan with all his status, but he still couldn't withstand Tang Heo's explosive ring. But he couldn't use the teleportation card to escape. He wouldn't abandon his woman. He gritted his teeth, made up his mind, and a card appeared in front of him. Resurrection technique, use. Designate the resurrection character. Arrow. Chapter 125. Beautiful lady in palace costume. As a golden light lit up, a virtual female figure appeared in front of Wu Crossing, and as the outline deepened, the woman's true appearance finally emerged. The woman was dressed in palace clothes, bright and beautiful, mature and charming, and soul-stirring. She was Xiao Wu's mother, Arao. Mom. Xiao Wu was startled at first when she saw the figure appearing beside Wu Crossing, but as the woman's figure became real, her beautiful eyes lit up, and she couldn't help but exclaimed in joy. Aro, who had just resurrected, was still in surprise. She was still in the boundless Pure Land world the previous second, but the next second she found that her body began to become illusory. When she was wondering, she felt that the surrounding environment had changed. Before she could react to what was going on, a huge pressure swept over her body, causing her to subconsciously mobilize her soul power to resist. At this time, she also saw her daughter who she had been thinking about, and the owner of the diary who had uploaded her video. However, she did not immediately recognize her daughter, but instead looked up at the source of the pressure in the sky. Looking at the huge clear sky hammer above, covering the sky and the sun, with a strong pressure pointing directly below, she instantly understood something. It was obvious that she was resurrected by the owner of the diary. From the diary copy, she knew that Wu Crossing had a resurrection technique. Now it was obvious that he and his daughter were in danger. Thinking of this, Arao's body immediately burst out with energy, and the air around her twisted. The huge energy burst out, and Tang Heo also noticed the situation below. His pupils shrank when he looked at it. When did this woman appear? He could feel the momentum bursting out from the other party. Not only was she a titled Douluo, but she was also a transformed 100,000-year-old soul beast. But before he had time to think, the other party had bent her legs, and then the whole person soared into the sky and attacked him. Looking at the palace-dressed woman attacking him, Tang Heo's face completely sank. He didn't expect that the boy had not only one titled Douluo as a protector, but also a 100,000-year-old transformed soul beast to escort him. But thinking of the other party's unheard of martial spirit, it didn't seem strange to be protected by two titled Douluos. However, the current situation did not allow him to think too much, nor could he delay any longer. He had to get rid of Wu Crossing immediately, because he also sensed that there were several titled Douluo level auras flying towards here quickly. Boy, what if two titled Douluos are protecting you? Let's destroy them together. Tang Heo shouted, and the spirit rings under his feet exploded, and his skin turned deep red. The aura of destruction and the unmatched power rushed down in an instant, causing the already pale Ling Yuan to change color again. Just as he was about to let Wu Crossing escape from this place again, a voice sounded in his ears. Sister, you retreat. Arao's charming pink eyes flashed, and she had already come to Ling Yuan. Her white and green jade hands also supported the front, solidifying the defense barrier that was about to break. Looking at the beautiful woman in palace dress who suddenly appeared, Ling Yuan was slightly stunned for a while, but did not retreat. Two people are always better than one person. Sister, leave this to me. My ability is just right to restrain the opponent. As if she understood what Ling Yuan was thinking, Arao said another sentence. Then I'll trouble you, sister. Seeing Arao's determined eyes, Ling Yuan immediately loosened her hands and returned to Wu Crossing, but her eyes were still fixed on the direction of the sky. As long as she found something wrong, she would take the little man away from here as soon as possible. Arrogant. The despised Tang Heo shouted angrily, and his strength reached the critical value. However, something he didn't expect happened, and something Ling Yuan didn't expect happened. Invincible golden body. Arao said coldly, and in an instant, a beam of light burst out from her body, and the dazzling pink light filled her whole body. Then she actually grabbed the huge Haoshan hammer with one hand, as if she was holding a small iron hammer, and threw her and the hammer away fiercely. Seeing this scene, Ling Yuan opened her mouth wide enough to swallow Wu Crossing's whole lollipop. How strong is the power of this beautiful woman in palace dress? Tang Heo's eyes were about to pop out. His full strength attack with several rings was easily thrown away by the woman in front of him. Of course, only Wu Crossing knew that Arao's strength was very strong, but not so exaggerated. It was all because of her invincible golden body that she could ignore all physical attacks. Although Tang Heo's ring blasting power was against the sky, it was just restrained by Arao. With the help of the recoil force of the smash, he was easily thrown away. It can be said that Tang Heo's own power was also used to achieve this. After flying backwards for dozens of meters, Tang Heo stabilized himself. Looking at this invincible beautiful woman standing in front of him, his face was uncertain at this time. He knew that he couldn't kill Wu Crossing today. Although he was very unwilling, and although he knew that it would be more difficult to deal with the other party after today, he had to give up. Boy, you are lucky. Tang Heo shouted unwillingly, then picked up Tang San and fled from the top of the mountain at a high speed. Looking at the fleeing Tang Heo and his son, Arao did not intend to chase them. Although her invincible golden body restrains all physical attacks, it does not mean that she is stronger than the opponent. Just now, the opponent launched the strongest attack with all his strength, so she has a huge advantage. If a protracted battle is fought, coupled with the gradual understanding of her own soul skills, and the number of times the invincible golden body is exhausted, she is no match for Tang Heo. Benefactor. Retracting her gaze, Erao landed lightly in front of Wu Crossing and saluted him. Seeing Erao about to salute him, Wu Crossing hurriedly stepped forward to hold her hands and said, "Sister Erao, you are too polite. You don't have to call me benefactor, just call me by my name. Besides, Sister Erao just saved my life." Erao's bare hands were soft and boneless, and as smooth as cream, which made Wu Crossing's heart tremble, and he was a little reluctant to let go. Feeling the benefactor holding her hands tightly, Erao's charming face flashed a blush, and she said, "Benefactor, you can revive Erao and let Erao meet Xiao Wu again. Erao will remember this great kindness in her heart. No need to remember in my heart, I'm more interested in pledge of love." Wu Crossing thought dirty in his mind, but said seriously, "Sister Ro, we are all pen pals, it is only natural to help each other." Ling Yuan, who was standing aside, looked at Wu Crossing holding Erao's hands tightly, and her mouth twitched. This little bastard really forgot his loyalty for the sake of beauty. I'm still injured now, but he doesn't care about me, but flirts with other women, and she is the mother of your girlfriend. It is so hateful. I shouldn't have saved you just now, and let you be smashed to death by the Haotian hammer. Ling Yuan was very jealous, and cursed fiercely in her heart. Xiao Wu didn't think much about brother Wu Crossing holding her mother's hands. Tears welled up in her eyes, and she was excited and happy. She choked up and said, "Mom, end of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video."